All right, cool. So back in high school, my high school sweetheart had a younger brother who had a friend, and that friend was Luke Bonner, and I'm saying it right?
Yeah.
Nailed it. So in high school, though, I called you Boner. Was I the only one that called you Boner?
You were not the only one who called me Boner.
Do people still call you Boner?
Yeah. Yeah. My
Okay.
voice went up with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people still call me Boner.
I'm sorry I called you Boner. Now,
good.
to be fair, I grew up in the '80s, and in the '80s there was a show called Growing Pains, and he had a friend named Boner. So it didn't necessarily mean dick at the time, but anyways, it was just kind of funny. So I'm glad I wasn't the only one. Makes me feel a lot better. But fast forward 25 years later, Luke has done some phenomenal things in his life. He's no longer a boner. He's all bricked up, right? He's a big dog. He's a captain, which we're going to talk about that a lot. A licensed captain. He's a full stack developer. He's a legit designer. Your website looks awesome. A lot of your marketing stuff looks great. You work for McKinsey, which is a massive agency, right?
Correct.
Super cool. And then Spectrum News 9, you did graphics for them too, yeah?
Bay News 9, yes.
Yeah. So you did like lower thirds and stuff like that?
Everything. Templates, elections, maps, all that stuff. Mugshots.
He can catch, he can fillet, he can cook a grouper after officiating your wedding, because you mentioned that on the phone, that now you can marry people, which is great. He's the real deal. Today we're diving deep, literally, with my buddy Luke, Captain Luke. Do I have to say Captain Luke, or is just
You
Luke?
don't have to say Captain.
But is it like, do you prefer Captain Luke?
No, it's just Luke.
Just Luke. Got
Luke,
it. Yeah, we've known each other long enough. I could just call you Luke. Awesome. Yeah, Captain Luke Bonner and Cat 5 Fishing. Again, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks,
it's really, really cool. Thanks for being
having me.
Yeah, cheers. Cheers to you.
Cheers.
It's been a while. I haven't seen you. And I see you on Facebook. I see you online. I see you making moves. But I haven't seen you. I think I saw you randomly, like at either the Dunedin Brewery or out and about around town.
Definitely, yeah. Run into a couple places.
Yeah. So what have you been up to?
A lot since, 1999 or something?
Yeah, dude. 99 would be 26 years ago.
Something like that. I remember you used to play in a band. I think that was one of my early memories, coming to one of your shows. I think you were playing bass, and then I know you did a solo project for a while and did some acoustic stuff I went out and saw. And then we ran into each other at Blue Water. I think it was right after the pandemic. And then, I saw you're making moves. I saw the logo and all the production here, so I'm just happy to be here. Hey, man,
I'm happy to have you here. So it's really interesting because, again, we both come from marketing, it sounds like initially. It's Charlie Dog, thirsty girl. She's a thirsty girl. It's been hot in Florida.
It has been, yeah.
And we were just talking about dog breeds before we kicked on. It's like, Huskies, you have a Husky. She's beautiful. Or he.
Bear.
Gorgeous dog.
Thank you.
A lot of fur. I have a red golden retriever. A lot of fur. It's hot. It's been hot as heck the last few days. So this dog, it's important. If you have pets, keep them hydrated and keep yourself hydrated. I carry around this big thing here. Just make sure we're not out here dying. But so it's really interesting to me and inspiring, and I'm kind of jealous, even though I'm doing my own thing, that somebody like you can go from marketing and graphics and not just being okay. I mean, you worked for some really notable companies, and your work speaks for itself. It's really great. And then all of a sudden you go, fuck it. 9 to 5's not for me. I'm going to go live the salty life on a boat. How does that happen? Like, walk me through it.
I just feel like a regular person. I feel like a regular dude. And, I guess you hear that, it's just a regular person. And really, that's how it feels to me. I mean, I've always been interested in little things, but things that stick with you in life, I feel like you have to pay more attention to. I think that's a lesson in patience. As time goes on, you kind of notice things that you might not have noticed when you were younger. And I think just having that reoccurring, fishing has always been there. Being outdoors, being in nature is always kind of, someone even described it who knows me like, hey, Mother Nature was your mother. Like, you learn so much of your lessons from being out there. So being in Florida, I feel like you have to utilize the resources around you. If not, why are we here?
Sure.
So That's how it started. And we visited Colorado last year, for example. And I was thinking, if I lived here, I would be, in the trout, in the streams, on the mountains. So I think it's just where I grew up, and
Yeah.
people I, surround myself. My parents got me into. I think that
Yeah,
was one of the
looking
baby
here.
pictures.
Yeah, this picture cracks me up. I actually blew it up here. If we wait about 10 seconds, because okay, so this is a picture online. I'll make sure to throw it up too. But it's baby Luke, literally in a pack and play on the back of a boat. You're what? Maybe a year? Not even.
Yeah, I don't know, a few months. I think it was the first year, and this is the Tarpon Springs sponge docks.
Got it.
So my parents, they had a house, somewhere. I think it was between, and we'd always visit the sponge docks. So that picture came up because I always have people, how come you don't get seasick, or why don't you ever feel? And I thought about it for a long time, and then the picture, I said maybe because I've been out for a while. On the
Yeah,
water,
since
so.
you were a baby. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's a really unique picture. I've never seen a pack and actually, I take it. That's the first pack and play I've seen. But you know what have seen lately, and again online because we live online, is it's kind of like a swing that essentially lives between two, and I don't know the proper terminology, so I don't want to bastardize it, dude. But essentially, whatever the canopy is, there's like really strong railing for that, and there was just like a baby swing. And again, the baby in it was maybe a year less, give or take a few months. I think to your point earlier, if we're in Florida, man, there's Florida salt life, right? Like
Right.
Florida's that's being a marine, adventurer is definitely a part of it. Here's the thing that's probably going to make you upset.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the beach. Now, let me qualify that. I don't like the heat. I don't mind the beach. I love the water. I think water's rad. You mentioned Carolina, right? That's Pam's my wife. That's like our forever plan if we end up in the mountains, because I love mountains. I like creeks. I like rivers. I like fishing in lakes. I like walking, hiking. I like all that jazz. I just think that, like, for Florida, man, I'm so hot. As I've gotten older, man, I'm just like, it's too damn hot.
I hear you.
And so I have nothing but respect for you because you run two vessels, right?
Yeah.
One out of Tarpon, one out of St. Pete. Yeah. So going back a little bit, it sounds like, again, as a kid, you kind of came up into it, right? It was natural for you to go, yeah, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get really great job. I'm going to get, develop a skill set in marketing, animation, graphics, etc. And then it was calling you home, so you just went straight to the water. What's it like to just kind of throw a Hail Mary like that and just go, fuck it, I'm gonna change my whole life and my whole lifestyle?
I think what you do in your spare time, whether it's when you're at a 9-to-5 job or you're a kid in college, there's always that little thing that you're doing with your spare time. And it changes. I tell people all the time, like, agility doesn't always look like a straight line. It goes up and down over time. So in this particular case, in fishing, or if it was mountain biking, or if it was, whatever you're into, I think fly fishing has always interested me. It's like you read about it and then you watch a video, and it's like, it's one of those things, if it sticks with you, kids, we've got our hands on a million things, but as you kind of grow older, it's just a reoccurring thing with me with fishing and always being on the water. So it's called me, and I would spend a lot of time at work looking at, like, GPS numbers, and I was kind of like, this is kind of weird, and also, like, I told myself if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. So I started taking people out after work. Actually, when I worked at Bay News 9, I had a little boat, and we would do night fishing. We would work all day, and then right when we got off work, get 3 or 4 guys together and fish till, midnight or 1 a.m., and then do it all over the next day. And
you're fishing out of St. Pete over by what, the Skyway?
this was out of Clearwater.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So it was, the good thing with Clearwater is, like, you have a lot of transient, population, whether it's, vacationers or out of towners, and everybody wants to get on the water and do it while they're here. So being in that location was kind of central, to being convenient for people that wanted to get out or they were in a hotel.
Sure.
And I always had a full-time job, but after COVID and the pandemic, I really learned what a gig economy meant. It was like, if you could grab something that was in your garage or in your back room and take it somewhere and make money, like, that was, that was how we
That was
made it
survival,
for a
man.
while.
Yeah, a lot of us were surviving that way.
Luckily, it was only a few months for us, but it was a good year, and we had a following good year, and we had a red tide after that with a bad year. So
Yeah, dude.
it's one of those things that when it's good, it's good. When it's not good, it's a luxury item. And when things get tight, or when people are, tight on money or tight on time, the luxury items seem like the first thing to go. And that means the boats, the fishing rods, the pleasure things.
Yeah. My only comparison would be the band, right? It was like a hobby, it was a hobby passion. Occasionally we made some money, but not, usually enough for like some beer and gas to get us to, the next one. I don't want to brag. I actually made more money not playing music from music than actually gigging with music, because I landed a couple of songs in some commercials just by happenstance. And one day I woke up, and it was right when my wife and I first got together, and like I saw this email from like BMI, which is like a music publisher, SASCAP or BMI, and I had BMI, and it was like, hey, notification from BMI, and it was like, yo, there's $2,000. And I was like, damn. And then the next quarter, it's like, yo, there's $7,000. And I was like, okay. And then I don't want to get into the numbers, but
Cool.
I'll tell you what I did with it. I bought a new car. I bought my wife I bought a wedding ring for my wife. I married my wife. Paid off some debt. I did a bunch of cool shit with it. But my point of that is that your boating is my music. And to your point, like when things got bad, you got to kind of like maybe reevaluate or pivot. It's really important to do that in life, because sometimes you get thrown a COVID or a red tide or, a major life event, a baby. A baby will change my whole perspective on life and everything, Did you said you started with a boat and you just started taking friends. When did you make the switch to, all right, hey, I'm going to incorporate this thing. I'm going to start an LLC. I'm going to get licensed. I'm going to go, and this is going to be my thing.
So the boats started earlier with my dad. I remember getting in trouble in 7th grade. He's like, you're staying with me for the summer. And about a few weeks in, he gave me a project, and that was taking this old aluminum boat and making it seaworthy. And
was it rusted the whole bit or what?
Everything. The transom was rotten, and there was no seats, and all the rivets were busted out, no paint on the bottom side. So it was pretty rough shape. We just basically like father and sonned it with everything, and it was a cool experience. And I remember after that, it was trading into the next boat and the next, and there was like a little phase there was a jet ski that came in. I was wakeboarding a lot and back to the boats. So it was like one thing after another. When I was 18, my good friend Cole Bauman, he passed away, and it was actually his boat. So I kind of honored the legacy of carrying this, in the friend group. And we fished for 12 years out of that boat, and tons of fish and lots of experience, and met a lot of great people. And it was at that point where there wasn't an LLC. It was just friends pitching in for gas money,
Sure.
and, and just me also building up the confidence to say, look, if I'm going to schedule this and do this, like, we're going to do it.
Right,
But
you were
that's
developing the skill set, the
Exactly.
know-how, the knowledge, the wisdom. I look at people who drive boats. It's an incredible skill set that I don't have, and I admire. I've been on a bunch of boats, big ones, small ones, with buddies and their families, and I'm always blown away by not only people that own boats, which is cool, but that like understand the rules of operating a boat, because they're super dangerous. Like, I don't know why I feel a little bit more nervous on a boat than I do in a car. And maybe it's just because there's, like, you mentioned jet skis. When I go out, or the times I've been out, there seems to be not a lot of tomfoolery, but there's like people going too fast and like going through wake zones you're not supposed to, whatever. And it just kind of makes me nervous. And mostly because I don't have any control over the situation at all. You're trusting whoever's captaining the ship. But for me, it's like, dude, I look at you guys who own boats, drive boats. In your case, the fishing element. I don't even know what half of these fucking fish are called, which ones you can keep, how big. How do you know all this stuff? And again, it sounds like just years and years and years you've been developing this knowledge and this wisdom and this skill set. That's awesome. It's like it's super rad. I wish I had it.
Thanks.
Yeah, well, you're welcome.
I mean, I think it's pattern recognition, because I knew a question like that, gets asked a lot, and I try to come up with something like I have an answer, but it's really like pattern recognition. Your brain is kind of programmed to pick up on different patterns, and whether you live in Colorado or the Carolinas, it's talking to the people and the locals, and what patterns are they recognizing,
Sure.
and finding your own fishing spot, and what patterns are you recognizing there. I mean, that's literally how it starts. I've been so humbled by hearing stories about people that I look up to that have done it 30, 40, 50 years. And when they give me an answer like that, it's like,
Yeah.
you know that we don't really know it all. We don't know if the fish are going to be, I showed up to the spot today with the bait and the right things to happen, and it happened. I didn't, have the connection between, who caught what fish.
Yeah, you didn't call the fish guy and say,
Exactly.
"Hey, we're coming out today. Make me proud," right? It just kind of
There is something there.
Yeah, for sure.
Or I call it fish karma. Like who has the good karma? Who has the fish karma today?
I actually subscribe to that a little bit. I think, and here's why. I think if you think you're gonna have a shitty day, you're gonna have a shitty day. Doesn't matter if all the cards are in your favor, man. If you wake up in the morning and kick the dog and hate your life and hate your job and hate this, then you're just attracting all sorts of gnarly shit into your life. Counter to that. Oh, by the way, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah. Counter to that, Charlie's just always so excited when new people come to the studio.
Oh, you smell bear, huh?
She just wants to can you just touch me, please?
Sorry.
I'm just a baby. Yeah, dude, I think vibes are super important, man.
It comes up a lot. People asking, what's the difference? Another thing is listening to direction, bad habits. A lot of people come from a background of fishing here or there, and they have a bad habit, and you're trying to break them. Like, wait for the bite and don't reel down, or, flip the reel over. You're holding it the wrong way. And a lot of time people that take directions or they don't have any bad habits are the ones that adapt quickly.
Oh, then you're gonna love me when we go out because I mean, again, freshwater fish all day. Trout, lake, pond, creek. I get that. And now again, it's been, this is when I lived in California. I was like 15, right?
Yeah.
But we used to go every summer. Florida, man, I don't think I've ever even been fishing in Florida. I fished when I lived in Costa Rica. I did some spearfishing, which we'll talk about that too, because that's another thing that, again, I look at this footage. By the way, we'll put some of this video up too for you guys, but for those that look at the wide shot, I'll put the wide shot up. All this footage was sent to me by Luke, shot by Luke, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Edited by Luke?
Yep.
God damn, dude, you're like a quadruple threat of a human. Jeez, your wife is lucky. All right, so you got you're tall, you're handsome, you're a captain, you could spearfish, you could make dinner, cook dinner. It's wild, dude. It's wild. So talk to me, how do you get into this? How do you go from, hey, I'm into boats, I'm fishing, I want to get into spearfishing, man. Right. How does that, where does that jump? Is that an easy transition to make?
Well, it's weird that the other picture I sent you from the dock, I was holding a homemade spear gig, and I was like 4 years old. I remember the story, but then seeing the picture, I don't know what got into me. I mean, I did know the first few times diving and free diving, I was like, I need to kill something. It was weird. It was like, I don't know why I'm down here, but I need something. It was weird. So some people, they're in the hunter-gatherer element, but I just knew for me, the reef is pretty. You get to be a part of it, but I also knew that there was a reason to be there, I guess. And I remember it was the same thing, 4th or 5th grade. One of my surfing buddies, his dad had like a garage full of cool stuff, and he had like these big spear guns in there. And I was like, I know what you do with them, but I would have no idea where to begin.
How to function, right, for sure.
How to start with this. So it started with the gig. They call them like a frog gig. They used to sell them at the bait shops. And same thing, you go to the bait shop, and you're looking on the wall, oh, you catch a shark with that, you catch it. I saw this frog gig, so bought it, took it home on this like aluminum, I think it was like a squeegee or a mop handle, and I rigged it, and I would use that off of the dock to like just
and so is it like rubber band or like spring loaded?
So that is literally just a pole. I mean, it was a pole with a spear at the end. It didn't have a band. At the end, I remember tying a line to it because I got to a few times where I almost lost it or had to jump off the dock to get it.
Sure.
And
you're talking about that picture right there. That's awesome, dude.
So
again, born with it, man. Boat, gigging. Water, and then what's happening up here at top left, man? That's some big fishing right there.
That was one of the first. So my fiance at the time, she was like, I want to get into this, or, she always wanted to do it. And, she was my fiance at the time. And I said, all right, we'll do this tournament together.
Sure.
This is your first big spearfishing tournament. And she killed it. She knocked it out of the park. Like, we still talk about it today. And I told her it's all downhill from here. Like,
it's just the greatest
not always
day
going to
ever,
be like this. So that was another amazing day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's how I got into it, was like looking at the spears in the dive shops and seeing the one my friends garage, and then just wanting to do it. At Bay News 9, I remember reading the forums, like a nerdy thing to do is like there was a Captain Mel spearfish or fishing forums that I would participate in, talk to the guys. There was Florida Sportsman. there was also Spearboard and Spearfishing Planet, which were kind of new at the beginning. And
Sure.
you're talking to the guys and you're seeing the pictures. They're talking about areas. So
It's a whole community.
but the same thing, you're not doing it until you're doing it, you know. So even as being a 19 or 20-year-old kid right out of college, just trying to participate in it, you're not really participating until you're out there with the guys.
Until you're doing it.
Yeah. I always tell people, like, experience is the best teacher. Like, it really is. You could talk about it, you could read about it, you could watch the videos. Experience is the best teacher.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't disagree. And I'm case in point is me. I didn't go to school for marketing. I was in a band. I spent my 20s and my 30s, you know, I thought that was going to be my shit, right? Come to find out there's a lot of parallels of being in a band and marketing anything. What your marketing is doesn't really matter. You know, whether it's a cup, a beer, a band, a fishing charter, it's the how, it's the strategies. And to your point about lived, learned experience, man, everything I know now was from having really rad people that didn't gatekeep on information, skill, the why, the how. So being super blessed that way, and I still, you know, talk to and respect these people to this day, and then just kind of doing it every day and toiling and tinkering and toiling over the bits. And so, you know, it sounds like much like anything, it's the same, except you did all, you know, again, I admire you because, you know, you did all the marketing stuff and you kicked ass there. Again, your stuff's great. Now you're doing this. It looks like you're kicking ass here and doing great. So going back to the good vibes, good karma, you must have the best vibes, best karma, dude, because it seems like your bread's falling butter side up constantly, man, which is great. That's good to see and hear, man. I'm not that I'm your dad, but I'm proud of you.
I'm proud of you. You make me proud too, Justin.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. I'm gonna pivot a second. You sent me a picture where you were standing with Mike Tyson. Did you get to talk to him, or was it just a photo op?
It was
thing?
like a meet and greet. I did. I gave him a little pat on the back, and I was surprised because at whatever 58 years old, the guy was still like,
he still got it.
He's jacked. Yeah, he's still big, and it was a little bit scary, like being intimidating. But looking at the picture now, like seeing my dad and me, you know, we're both bigger guys. We kind of towered him a little.
Oh, that
bit.
was your dad in that
Yeah,
picture.
it was my dad.
Oh,
in the
very
picture.
cool.
So
very
he
cool.
set up. He's always been a fan. You know, always had like a Mike Tyson. He's had a couple pictures on his desks over the years, and that was one of them.
Yeah, well, dude, Mike Tyson, you know, the best, man, in his time.
That's
like,
cool.
Super cool. Yeah, it's always weird meeting celebrities. We did a couple of gigs, you know, shot a couple of spots with like some celebrities. I directed, you know who James Lipton is from Inside the Actor Studio?
I do.
Yeah. So before he passed away, he had a, you know, because I worked in direct response, which is infomercials for, you know, we call it direct response. It's infomercials. It sounds sexier when you say direct response, but yeah, he had some product for like his knees. He had bad knees because I guess he was a dancer in, you know, his prime or whatever. And so he developed essentially, instead of sleeping with a pillow in between your leg, he had like this knee sock kind of cushiony thing. Okay. And so I got to direct him in his, you know, 2-minute infomercial. It was kind of cool. And then Gordon Ramsay. But Paul Abdul, we were in Vegas one time for some conference, and I have a picture I'll send you. It's funny because I gave Paul Abdul my phone number. She didn't call, by the way, Paul. You never called. But yeah, in Vegas, celebrities is like, it's weird. Mike Tyson, though, I think to your point about being intimidating, oh, hell yeah. Because he's just a beast of a man.
He is.
Just scary.
We grew up with it, you know, like we grew.
Yeah,
he
was the goat, dude.
Ozzy's gone, and it's like
man, it's been a shitty week or shitty month, rather.
It doesn't feel real. It's like something that's always been there. Yeah, we're talking about that today, and
that's a shame, dude.
But no, you inspire me, Justin. So let's pivot back to that.
Cheers to you. Thank you, man.
You know,
I appreciate it.
You could have went a million ways. I could have went a million ways, and you know, we're here and we're happy and we're here to talk about it.
Yeah, we're here to chat about it. So it's super dope. So I'm going to hit you probably with 1,000 questions that you've already heard before as a captain, but I haven't heard them, and whoever's watching this hasn't heard them, I don't think. Wild moments, right? So you're on the ocean in Florida. If you've lived in Florida or even if you're visiting, you know that the weather can change like this. So I'm going to start there. Like, what's the scariest moment you've had out there on a boat? Obviously, you check, even on your website, you're checking wind. You have radar up. I mean, you're on it, right? Yeah. But have you ever been out there and been like, oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely weather related would be the scariest. You know, a lot of the time the storm forms right on the border of where the islands are. So you could be 10, 15, 20 miles offshore, blue skies, everything's great. And you're booking it back and you're running through it. That's the
You're
only way.
right.
That's the
Yep.
only way to get home.
You're just heading
So,
right straight to it.
yeah, I've
Jesus.
seen it look like a washer machine where literally waves are going 360 degrees. I mean, it could get scary. And a lot of times you're not predicting it. It's not like you're leaving in the morning and it's bad, or you're pulling up, oh, there's a hurricane, let's go today. It's usually comes out of the blue, like
Out
you
of
said,
nowhere.
in Florida. So
Yeah.
definitely weather related.
So what do you do in a situation like that? Is it low and slow, and you just knock? I don't know what the pirate term is. Button down the hatch. What do, dude? You just fucking say fuck it. We're just gonna keep going.
Well, every boat is going to handle a little bit differently.
Sure.
So the situation kind of depends on the vessel and how many people and the weight distribution and that sort of thing. But first things first is you're watching the radar for the direction of where the storm is going. And I like to look to see if it's actually building, like convection, what they talk about,
Yeah.
if the clouds are building or if they're kind of dying off. And then a lot of the time we're routing around that because of that, so we're trying to find a window where the convection looks less, between, or the cell is starting to split and kind of you're gonna shoot between there.
Right.
Or a lot of times we wait it out, we stay where the sky's blue, watch the radar, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time it gets worse before it gets
Sure,
better.
dude. I can only imagine, dude. It's like oh man, I would be definitely shitting my pants. Craziest thing you've ever caught in these Florida waters? Because it looks like obviously you've been down to the Keys. I recognize some of that stuff from you being in the Keys, but a lot of that's right here, right outside Clearwater, St. Pete, Tarpon, right, Pinellas County. What's the craziest thing you've ever caught that you've been like, this shouldn't be fucking out here?
I would just say some of the biggest fish in our area are like the big sharks. We have really big Goliath grouper. They get 300, 400, 500 pounds. They throw their weight around. So when you're diving, a lot of the time in the ocean, the fish are kind of eyeing each other up as they're swimming by. And usually the biggest one scares the little fish. And those Goliath, they hold their ground. They're there for the same reason you are. They're trying to eat, they're trying to get the fish. So I would say some of the wildest things that I've run into underwater and even fishing would be the strength and the tenacity of Goliath grouper and what they'll do. And, the big sharks we get cool. If we get sailfish, we get kingfish and wahoo, we get all sorts of cool big stuff right here in the Gulf. It's a little bit less accessible with a smaller boat. You have to have the vessel,
Sure,
and
you got to
the
go out
fuel
there,
bill and everything to get there. But
sure,
a lot of the Gulf of Mexico is very underrated compared to some of the other destinations that are there for fishing. But
sure.
If there's a will, there's a way. Get out there, big baits, big fish.
Yeah.
But I'd say those are people ask me a lot about sharks, and I kind of redirect the conversation to the Goliath grouper because personally, I've run into more problems with those.
So specifically, like obviously you say they're big, and big is bad, right?
Yeah.
Big. I mean, well, big is it's going to be trouble, especially if you're going to try to get one. You're fighting that thing.
Yeah.
So when you say a lot of trouble, give me an example. And again, layman's dude,
Yeah.
I've never even seen a Goliath grouper in the
So
wild.
they're federally protected, and
Sure.
it started in the 80s. And before the 80s, there's guys in our dive club that have been doing this for 40, 50, 60 years, and they've shown us videos and pictures of just tons of coming in diving and spearfishing for these giant Goliath grouper. But in the 80s, they cut it off. And the federal government's actually protecting the predator, which is one of the bigger species on the reef. And what that does is it kind of is like a safe haven. It allows them to grow larger. They're eating more fish every day. And they've lost their fear of the boats and the divers. And like in Colorado, when the bears lose the fear of humans and they start eating your trash, like that's when they become dangerous.
Aggressive,
So,
yeah. That's when that's when encounters with humans. That's where, when
so-
animals attack.
So
like
it's
they made a Spike TV had a whole show about it. I think, yeah.
It's not necessarily the fish that you're not going after. It's the ones that you're going after. Those Goliath grouper want them too.
Sure.
So it becomes like a one-on-one. Like either if you're fishing, you're trying to reel it and get it past them. If you're diving, you're sometimes hand-to-hand trying to pull your fish out of the mouth of a Goliath grouper. So as a spearfishing guide, I talk about it, and I've had some close calls where people will get a fin pulled off, or they'll get the fish ripped out of their hand, and
Oh, geez.
and I'm watching this from the surface, like everything's gonna be fine.
just keep breathing.
Yeah. So that's
dude,
probably the wildest, I'd
so
say.
you said something. You said where there's a will, there's a way, and it hit me. I like catchphrases. You should adopt where there's a will, there's a wake.
Okay. I like that.
Right? You
Yeah,
put
yeah.
that on a card. Put that on the side of your boat. I want a nickel every time somebody says it. You know, looking at your website and talking to you a little bit, you have a special, beautiful heart for kids and teaching about the ecosystem, and you clearly, obviously love it. What do you do? And you kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier. What do you do when somebody's like doesn't have the sea legs, dude, and gets like wicked sick? Like
Yeah.
as soon as you're on the dock, just about to set off, and they don't have it. Like what does that happen a lot?
Oh, it happens. It doesn't happen a lot. It's I think it might be something that you're born with. You know, it might be like a peanut allergy or something. You know,
Sure.
it does happen. Now, personally, I have felt uneasy at Howl a Scream at 9 p.m. after 6 Bud Lights after I ride Kumba too.
Sure.
You know, I felt uneasy.
Sure.
So I think I know what the feeling is. I've just never experienced it from looking at the seas. But sometimes these guys, they come dressed in all the fishing gear. They have all their, I know that they've been around the ocean, and then they get seasick too. So I think it comes out of the blue. I think for some people they're more vulnerable than others.
Sure. Do you have any like secret Captain Luke tips? Like eat some ginger snaps? Or
I do keep ginger snaps. Yeah, I do. I have a little pouch.
Yeah, my mom too. She does the same thing.
But somebody told me too, like probably a component of that is mental too. Like I've eaten the ginger, I'm good now, and then everything kind of calms
Like a
down,
little
and you are a little
psychosomatic.
bit,
Yeah.
little bit better now.
For sure.
So it happens on rough days, for sure. You know, if I'm looking at the forecast and I see a certain type of wind pattern or speed, I'll let the guests know, hey, I know we have a trip for Friday, but it's, X, Y, Z.
Sure.
So a lot of time we'll stay closer to land. You know, if you stay protected in the river, if you stay inside of the barrier islands, it's less,
It's not going to toss you as much.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I try to I'm like, we're in Florida. We have plenty of good days. Why are we going on this bad day? But sometimes people are in town. My brother's here for Friday and Saturday.
They're
We have
locked
to pick a
into it.
day.
Yeah.
So I get it. But I think just communication, being open, working in consulting, I learned the customer experience. Those words kept being repeated. And no matter if you have, service-based business or product-based business, if you put yourself in the seat of the customer and how that customer experiences every step of the way, that's where you can make the difference. And a lot of captains don't do that. They won't pick up the call, the phone, and say, hey, what are your expectations for this trip?
Sure.
What do you have in mind? And it helps me at least not show up and say, oh, I forgot something in the garage I could have brought for you. Or so I
Sure.
think that part of it helps manage the trip, and that would be a good time. Oh, last time we were in Hawaii, I got seasick, and and then I hear that part of the story, and then it comes out.
Dude, you in that sentence, you said two things that are giant fucking indicators that you're gonna crush, and I'll tell you what they are. Okay,
What's that?
from a brand perspective, you ready? And you already know it. Customer experience. Okay, because customer service, I don't want to say is dead, but it's. Have you been to a restaurant lately? Unless you go to your favorite spot and they know you. If you go to a new spot, it's hit or miss. So customer experience is definitely getting weird, right? Number one. So the fact I think the consulting gig gave you those chops and that wisdom. I'm going to go back to this word wisdom, dude. That number one. And then the second thing he says, captains don't do that. Differentiator, dude. So from Captain Luke brand, you're going to fucking clean up, dude. You have my money. I'll tell you right now. And I as soon as I told my brother, I was like, I don't know if you remember my older brother. He was a senior. I would have been a junior, and I think you cats were what you would have been a sophomore, freshman.
Sophomore, yeah.
Yeah. I said, oh hey, I was like, dude, do you remember Luke? And he's like, no, not really. And don't take it personal. My brother doesn't remember anyway. But I go, oh, dude, he's a fishing captain, and I was like, dude, I sent him a link to your website, and I was like, dude, he does night trips. I said, and bro, it's not that much. Like, it's actually reasonable, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Super reasonable. And then you offer like drone footage for like $75 extra, and your drone footage is dope, dude. Like you've clearly like, and maybe I don't know enough about the competition. Maybe a lot of dudes, it's the pricing's competitive and blah blah blah. But my point is that I'm impressed by that because again, customer service number one. the level, the professionalism on the website. A lot of these websites, they feel like they're built fucking 30 years ago by the captain.
Yeah.
You know, and he's still the manager. He still maintains it through via GoDaddy or whatever. You know, I'm not dogging him, but it's like your shit looks pro. It sounds like from a business management standpoint, a customer service standpoint, it's pro. Bro, you're pro. I'm proud of you. Good, keep it up.
Thank you.
You're kicking ass. You ever get sick of people? Speaking of customer service, because, hey, customer isn't always right. Sometimes the customer's an asshole, and I understand that's not a popular opinion, but I don't mind saying it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I grew the contact list through mostly kind of guerrilla marketing. So it's all been word of mouth. And that's one of the first things, like, I kind of get out of them is like, who sent you? Like, who recommended you to go? And by that, I think you filter out a lot of those, those people.
The Karens and Chads, yeah.
And also,
Can't
like,
stand
the type of person that's going to spend that kind of money to bring their family out fishing or day on the water, that also filters out a certain type of person, too. So
you're not wrong.
I don't know. I'm with you. But also, I remember when I left consulting, I didn't miss filling out the timesheets. I didn't miss, the Friday lunches.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude.
I missed the people. I missed the connection between, talking to and doing the stand-up meetings and, all the stuff. That was really the part that I missed the most. And it kind of dawned on me is like, people are spending the money on the trips to be with their families. And it's the time with the families. It's the individuals, like they would rather do that than, spend 3 times that at Disney,
Sure.
So
it's pretty great insight, dude. You're not wrong. What is, as a captain, right? So I already admitted that I'm not, I'm not an avid angler or even a boat goer. I've been on a few times. We're going to come on. What's give me the top 3 most important things, Captain Luke. Hey, before you come on my boat, Justin, you bring your wife and your kids on my boat. Here are some 3 or 5 or however long the list is, but what is the most important things I should know and my family should know before we take a trip?
Oh, man, that's tough.
Is it loaded? A loaded question.
Maybe no aerosol sunscreen.
Can I ask why?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put a pin in that. So no aerosol sunscreen.
I like telling people to wear long sleeve sun shirts.
Of course. Yeah.
The snacks, the drinks, I try to tell people, like, it's your boat for the day. Bring whatever you would want. If you have any questions, I could be here to answer the questions. But it is a loaded question because everybody's going to have a different, based on their experience. This is your first time coming. Have you rebooked with me? That sort of thing. Do I know you from outside of fishing or outside of
Sure.
So I think the no aerosol, I hear that a lot with other people that operate boats and it's a safety thing. When people are spraying like crazy, your non-skid surfaces and some of the things that are there to give you grip and traction in the sea.
Oh, no shit.
They become slick. And, when you're thinking about the safety of people, that's one of the things that they think they're being safe by staying, from the sunscreen.
Yeah.
But
meanwhile,
really,
they're giving themselves cancer, allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. The oxybenzones.
Sure, yeah.
It's the kind of sunscreen we have here in the States. It's what's in every Walgreens, but it's not the only type of sunscreen. It's harder to get other types of sunscreens. Like when people ask me, you're in the sun all the time. Like, what would you recommend? It's not the oxybenzones. And in the spraying, the aerosol is just a delivery method because what they end up getting is streaks.
Sure.
If you don't. So I would say, from other captains who do this, 300 days, or it's their full-time gig, and they've done it for 30 years. I've printed up vinyls for Captain Ed Walker, and he's like, make me more for my friends. We're going to give them to our boat. So I'd say that's, and you don't want to hit them with that when they show up. Like, ooh, told you know.
You want to set them up for success. Like, hey,
ahead of time.
Yeah, I love those. Even, when we hit the theme parks or anytime I know I do go to the beach, bro, I always bring like one of those SPF long sleeve guys just because I don't really like putting sunscreen on. I put it on my kids, which again, it's debatable. My wife and I go back and forth. But yeah, dude, sunburns are the worst.
It is. And like when you're out there having fun and you're floating in the water,
you're not thinking about it.
No, and like people want to wear the bikinis and they want to do this, and like within an hour you'll be red as a cherry,
toast, dude. And then shitty 3 days at least. Definitely a shitty evening.
Yeah, definitely think about it too. And it doesn't help for like rebooking or like if you want somebody to have an enjoyable day and set them up for success. So
yeah, and you mentioned that so far your marketing has been word of mouth, guerrilla marketing.
Mostly, yeah.
Dude, good for you, man. That's the best.
Thanks. It's not always the quickest way to the top, you know?
There's longevity and loyalty in grassroots,
Yeah.
man. And if you look at any major brand, Blackstone Griddles, you familiar?
Oh, yeah.
All grassroots. All grassroots. Then they came to Blue Water, and Blue Water kind of took them to the next level. But prior to that, dude, and still to this day, they have a whole team of just content creators that are all about just grassroots efforts.
Believe it.
I love the Griddles. They're my buddies. I'm actually trying to get my Nate, who's like Blackstone Nate, on this thing. He's like one of the cooks that does a lot of the social content. It's not a Florida grill. It's just not. Our state can't handle that shit. Yeah. I've had 3. They all just get super jacked up, and it doesn't matter how much you reseason them and recondition them. I'm just like, dude, it just fucks it all up. But anyways, so yeah, but guerrilla marketing, man, that's solid.
I think so. Like,
I think so too, man. You're right. It's slow, but it's loyal, dude.
And even in the web, the web business, you get that all the time. Like, more ad spend doesn't equal more visibility or more customers
Sure
or more
fucking doesn't.
conversion or more leads. And even Google is privy to it now. Like, they've figured out all of the scams and all of the, clickbait stuff, or,
Sure.
You pay for clicks or click farms. So it's coming back to that, it's coming back to the grassroots, the word of mouth. Or like you said, if you spent the time and money to make a business card and make a website and make a LLC, it's like you've probably showed up to the table more than, some of the other competitors or someone else that they're looking at.
Sure. Well, because I think brand matters. Like when I look at your logo, and it should pop up here in a second, brand fucking matters. It says trust, right? It says pride. And when it comes to certain types of products, in this case, I'm going to go out with a stranger 10, 8, 25 miles out with my family. Fuck yeah, dude. I need to know that you're not some, booze hound that, I've been on booze my whole life. And I'm not shitting on those people too, because those are the salt of the earth. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I need to know that I need to believe that my family's going to be safe, that the vessel's good, that you are wise and trained, and you know what the hell you're doing. Because especially as a father, bro, like I'm out of my element. What am we going to grab 2 kids and swim? Like, it's like, yeah, it's scary. So again, brand says trust. And so your logo looks dope. It looks pro. Your website looks pro. Guerrilla marketing or word of mouth, hitting the streets is the best form of marketing to this day. I have clients. I don't push more ad spend. I push the right ad spend. My clients, and I deal with only local, small, medium-sized businesses. I don't do big fish, right? Just because I don't have the resources to handle it, what they need. Yeah. But my message isn't more ad spend. My message is always to them, the right kind of ads, moderate, conservative ad spend until we figure that out. And this isn't like groundbreaking marketing, right? This is just smart marketing. It's like, and then once we get going, what are you comfortable spending? Great, then let's make that work. And maybe it's Google ads, maybe it's Meta, maybe it's fucking flyers. Yeah. I don't know, right? Like, and that's what's cool about marketing. But it's cool. I love what you're doing. This isn't an empty promise. I've already started passing word of mouth. I've already texted to my brother. My wife's down. We're definitely going to go. When's the best time to go? Right now, it's hot as shit. It's the end of July. We're coming into August. Yeah. You said it's scallop season right now.
It is scallop season. So we're in the water. So that makes it a little bit cooler. once you take 30, 40-minute boat ride, you're putting your mask and snorkel on and getting in the water, so that helps cool it down.
And you have all the gear for that, or as a snorkeler, I got to bring my own shit?
I tell people to bring their own gear that they're comfortable with. 'Cause
your mouth's going on it.
Well, I mean, everybody's face is different for one, so if somebody has a mask that they've used before, chances are that it's going to work again on this trip. I do carry backups. I carry extras, but I always tell people, try to have your own gear.
What do you think of the ones, and I've only seen them on like TikTok Shop or wherever, where it's essentially your whole face is like a thing, and it's just got like a boner sticking out the top. Are those any good?
No.
They're trash?
No, they're trash.
Okay.
Yeah.
So which you just recommend, like, I'm sure there's a brand, but you just recommend probably the more traditional style mask over your eyes, mouthpiece, boom, go straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the ones that we like are the freedive specific masks. Sure. And the other ones you see mostly sold are like the scuba dive style mask. Mm. So that's what most of the people buy is like a scuba dive style heavy duty stuff, and then they use it for snorkeling or free diving. So there's not free diving stores on every corner either, though.
For sure. Amazon. No,
I
I
d-
like to support local businesses. So if there's someplace local like Clearwater Beach or Madeira Beach or where's their local? Is there a local shop that
Yeah,
you
so
love?
there's Neptonics in Tampa,
Sure. Okay.
Jerry and Jerry Jr., and then over in St. Pete's Spear Gods, it's Denny and my buddy Rich Taylor. They've been doing it for a long time, so they carry mostly freedive gear and a little bit of scuba stuff too.
You like a scuba, Polly? You like a scuba?
Taking it back.
Yeah.
No, I think you totally hit the nail on the head with saying, passing it by word of mouth. Local matters. Local elections matter. What your
Community.
buddies are doing. What people come to Florida for. What it's known for. All that stuff matters, and then also targeting your customer. Like Jessica's got an Instagram feed full of yoga friends, and I have an Instagram feed full of fishing friends. So when the fishing friends want to do yoga, they know where to go. And when the yoga friends want to go fishing, they know where to go. So I always express that to people too, is like, get in more than one social circle. If you and your friends are all doing the same thing, then, you don't need to rely on each other. And that happens a lot. I notice, people are like, I can't get out of this, or I need to break out, or I need to get, and it's like,
well, it's scary. There's a lot of risk. I think even just, since you mentioned the word social, right, is that we have our group of friends that we trust, right? We have we even have our daily, schedules through life, right?
Yeah.
We're regimented in a way. And it can be scary for just human beings to like break that schedule, to break that mold, to try something different. Number one, this is going to sound shitty, but I'm going to say it. Somebody told me one time that, hey, if you're up to something super badass, keep some of it close to your chest, because not everybody in your circle is rooting for you. And I know that seems gnarly, right? But like some people are jealous. Some people are, envious. Some people are, aren't cheerleaders. Some people are natural cheerleaders, and some people are really rooting for you, and some people aren't. And so, I think that because of that, you want to be careful, which groups you are running with, number one. And number two, I think that like, hell yeah, break out of that. And it's uncomfortable. I mean, you did consulting, and you mentioned you missed people. Yeah. You and I have some people have a natural gift, you and I have it, where we can walk into a group of strangers and the next thing you know, we're buying shots, somebody's buying drinks or whatever, we can, within 15, 40 minutes, we're pals. We're exchanging phone numbers. Some people, it's like, fuck, I don't want to leave the house, right? And so if you own a business and you have that like very close, you better partner with somebody that knows how to shuck and jive and communicate and wheel and deal, because that's marketing, that's business. You got to wheel and deal.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, to piggyback on that, you have to do it for yourself first.
Sure.
Like you mentioned there, you want to keep a part of it to yourself. I think the whole thing should be for yourself, and people start seeing that around you. They see it in you. I was fishing on my day off, like I had a cancellation. I'm like, I'm going fishing. Like I'm going to find new spots. I enjoy doing it even when it's not for work, or if it's not.
I think you have one of those jobs that like people always said, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And I always thought that was horseshit, but it sounds like you actually have that job.
On Monday morning when you're leaving the river, and everybody else is driving to work, it feels like that. I'm like,
just
I
double
tell people,
birds.
this is the best. This is the best job in the world.
Later, losers. Yeah.
I mean, it still is a job.
Sure.
I told myself for years I wasn't going to do it. I'm not going to ever be a fishing guide. I'm never going to get my captain's license. But I also told myself if I did it and it wasn't fun, then I wouldn't continue doing it. And in some of those stand-up meetings in the corporate world, when people were asking like, well, what would you do if you weren't here? I was like, I would probably be like a dive captain in Cancun or something. Like you just come up with something, and then you realize like there is this part of you that's like, you just have to do it. You have to go for it and do it. And you do need a support system. I mean, I'm
100%.
very lucky that I have the love of my life, my wife, my family, my friends. They all know that if I'm going to go for it, they're going to let me go for it. And I didn't always have that.
Sure.
So
and some people don't have that. Yeah, that's fair.
It's not for everyone. But I also think that if you do go to bed at night and you're thinking about one thing, or you're meditating or whatever you call it, that if there's something that speaks to you, you need to act on it too.
Just do it.
I think so.
Yeah, I ask everybody some version of that same kind of question, and everybody has the same thing. Well, and here's the common denominators. All the people I ask are people that, big or small, have started their own side hustle, business. They're working a full-time job, but they're trying to build this thing, and that's the trigger. That's the difference between people like us and them. We're not better. It's just turn that switch on, man. Yes, you can do it. And yes, you're going to mess up.
Yep.
Yes, you're going to trip and fall, and you're going to do something wrong or make a mistake. Don't worry about any of that shit, because I think that those that matter won't mind.
Mm-mm.
And those that mind don't fucking matter. Now, that's not my quote, but I love it, right? It's I don't give a shit. I don't even know you. And so, even doing something like this where it's and this is going to sound funny from being a dude that was a singer of a band for years. I hate being on camera, man. I don't like any part of this. It took me, as we're building the studio the whole time, I'm like, fuck, man, I'm going to have to be on camera. And not one camera, 3 cameras, man. It sucks, I don't mind talking to people, but I was it was that thing I had to get over. And when I tell my wife that, or I tell people that have known me and my family and knew me, and they're like, "That's so weird. You're on stage in front of people playing." I was like, "Dude, I fucking hated." Dude, I used to sing with my eyes closed. I started drinking. True story. I didn't start drinking, bro. I smoked a bunch of weed. I was the weed guy. And then when I was 24, is when I started drinking, man. Just because I could not. I had such incredible stage fright, even after doing it for years,
Really?
Luke. Yeah, I was a really good actor too. You never know it, but yeah, bro. And then I started drinking just to kind of take the edge off, and not hard liquor. I just drink a couple beers and be like, oh, I can actually, I get a little bit of that liquid courage, yeah. But the point of that is that whatever, we all have these hurdles or these no, you can't, or that you ever see Luca, that movie?
Oh yeah.
Silencio Bruno, dude. Yeah. We all have that Bruno, dude. They just gotta shut that shit up.
It's there. I mean, I have the biggest frustration when things don't move quick enough. When you're I read the books, I'm doing the thing,
why isn't this working?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So I run into that all the time, but I think a lot of, and it goes back to fishing, it's patience. It teaches you things, and they'll say the same thing about sports and teamwork and all, but there are lessons to be learned as you go through life, and that's one of them is patience. And it's you got to hit the marks. And the same thing with that agility scale. You might have some wins this month or this year, and then you might have some setbacks the year after. And as long as you're working towards something, and I think also not being satisfied, it's a good thing if you're not moving too fast, because you always have that hunger for more. You have a plan for the future. You have a plan where you want to be. I've tried to do it the right way, the way that the books teach you, and the way that, that your parents teach you. I had some really good insights from my parents, and I followed them, and they didn't end up the way I wanted to end up. I tried the thing for the money, and I tried the thing for the people, and I tried the thing, and it's at the end of the day, we don't know how long we're going to be here. And if you do everything that you can one day at a time, I think your path will be chosen based off of that, and not someone else's path or your peer's path or your social circle. It's a lot of pressure in this day and age. And I had kids on the boat today, and you just see the social pressure and all the things, all the aspects of the world. Even since we were kids, how much has changed.
Oh yeah,
that all these kids are dealing with that. So the sooner that you could realize that, we're not the spring chickens anymore.
Hey, slow down, man. What are you talking about? 43 is the new, 39, right? Or whatever it is, yeah. How old are you gonna? Can I ask?
Yeah, I'm gonna be 40 this next month, August.
Happy birthday, man. Oh, August what?
27th.
13th.
There you go.
Right, you're Leo?
No, Virgo.
Oh, so close.
I thought it was a Leo for a long time.
Exactly. No, you're not.
They changed it. They moved it.
It's a sliding scale.
I was on the cusp.
I think you're your wife's a yoga gal. What do they say? I think you're there's some sort of word when the moon's doing a thing, or it's oh, this is cresting over or something. So you're hugging Leo or something. I don't know. I'm fucking it all
retrograde.
Up. Yeah, or something. Yeah, there you go. Leo, whatever it's called. I don't know. I don't do the hippie stuff, but that's cool.
I don't know if that's yoga though. I think it's
oh, it's astrology. Astronomy, whatever. Yeah. Oh, okay. What's one business lesson if somebody's listening to this and like, shit, well, I like fishing and and I live in Penobscot or wherever the hell they live. What's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody that was feeling how you were 5 years ago, 6 years ago? Because when did you start Cat 5?
Cat 5 was 2020.
2020. Okay, so
Yeah.
5 years ago.
I got my captain's license in 2010 though. But it was the part-time, I'm working full-time, sort of, weekends and nights sort of thing. Actually, I let my license expire. That was actually the Bay News 9 years, went through the kind of transition. It came back. It came back full circle, 2020. And pandemic probably helped. And, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I think just showing up, like you were saying, is part of it. Whether it's the website or even just a lot of people in the service industry just showing up to the job to do the service that you're there for, you're beating out half of the competition.
Sure.
So my advice, back to the question, like what was the one thing, is you have to be the charter client guest before you could be the charter captain. So I was a charter captain guest way before I was and you think about the things you like and the things that you didn't like,
Sure.
and what was important and what wasn't important. I think that's important to any profession too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
Some competitive analysis, right? That's what they
Yes.
call that.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. You got to know what differentiates you from the competitors. But what advice would you give to somebody that's on the fence? They need that push. Maybe they have the support system that you had. Maybe they don't. What do you say to that guy or girl that's thinking like, shit, I really like these things. I want to do this. What would you say to them specifically about, become a captain, start your charter?
Yeah, I think if it comes up enough in your life, you would regret not doing it. If it's to that point, there's obsessions, there's hobbies, there's things that we do a lot. But if something's a reoccurring theme and you think to yourself, what if, or I should have, or that keeps coming back, like, why didn't I? Those sort of thoughts. That's probably the key sentence that you need to listen to.
Yeah, this is your sign to get off your ass and make a move, man.
And sometimes it's not the move to become a captain, but it's a move to clean up something else in your life that allows an opportunity for this to happen. And then that thing leads to the free time over here. And now this job, allows a little bit more freedom to do this. So it's not always a direct path to like, oh, I got the license, I have this, and now we're in business,
Sure. It's just the possibility of something magical happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saying yes.
I think so.
Say yes, man.
In like every hit record in every movie, it's like it's because they said yes. And they probably said yes thousands of times and they never achieved what they wanted to,
Sure.
So I think that's part of it, is that you have to there's a book called The War on Art. It goes to say that like you have a muse inside of you, and like if you talk to the muse every day and you show up to work, like amazing things could happen.
Right.
But if you don't open the page and start writing, you don't pull up the computer and pull up the software and start designing, like you'll never get there.
Yeah, if you don't show up.
If you don't show up. So I think it was Preston, the book. And same thing there. It was a recurring title that showed up. And like the fifth person mentioned, I said, I'm buying this book and I'm going to read it. And it was really great for creative individuals. Like creativity is a hard thing to put like an hourly rate on,
Sure.
and like also like 9 to 5, like at 9 a.m. you're going to be creative. And then at
Sure.
5, you're going to shut it off.
Oh, yeah, dude. Listen, bro. I totally get it. I wrote my best stuff when I wasn't trying to write anything, and then struggled when I was under the gun. And then there were some moments. Something about the 12th hour is really inspiring at sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
But to your point, man, I think that depending on the medium, right, in which you're creating, I think that, like, especially if you're passionate about it, there's templates out there, man. There's a lot of step and repeat. There's a lot of, and I'm not shitting on, man. It's bread and butter for these artists, man, these designers. I think the original, like the really like inspiring stuff, man. Yeah, it's not an hourly thing. That thing was toiled on, was pained over for a while. It's emotional, at least for me. And I'm speaking more about music than maybe content creation. Content creation feels, I don't want to say it's not powerful or can't be emotional or can't be passionate. Of course it can. Like there's a shit ton of brands that do rad stuff that's really moving. But some of the regular stuff that we see online, it's like, it's not bad. It's just like you've seen them all, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of like step and repeat type of template-y shit. But
you're right. There's a protocol.
There's a protocol.
Like if you were looking for something and the client's asking for X, Y, Z, you know the protocol to get there. Where in music, it's not always
It's a
like
feeling.
that. It is, and there's a scale. You get a chromatic scale of 12 notes, and
Yeah.
every song is made from those 12,
Yeah.
and that's about the only thing that's in common.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about high vibration living. So you co-founded that with
Yeah.
your
My wife,
was she your
Jess.
fiance at the time?
She was my girlfriend when she was talking. I mean, I have to. That's her side of the things.
Sure, we'll bring her in. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that. But just give me the co-founder. Give me the cliff notes, I guess.
So I think it was just, and I'm still her biggest fan, and I still push her. You know, we need to get that facility. We need to do this. So it's always just been that, and just you need to get the website. You need to get the merchandise. You need the logo. You need the graduation certificates and all the stuff. And luckily, she knows a guy.
Sure, right.
So that's kind of the co-founding. But we promote like healthy living through what you eat, what goes in your body, like what you do. Do you have a hobby? Do you have something that keeps you active? Something that keeps you going? Like just paying attention to those things. I think that's just noticing. Like a lot of people. A friend of mine said the other day, he's like, "Leave us like fat, happy folks alone." And I'm like, how many fat folks look in the mirror and say like I'm happy every day? Like they realize there's a problem, or like you. So I think just having like an awareness to like something that's going on, like you're talking about, what's the calling? It's like it could just be an awareness of something that's deeper rooted in me, and it keeps reoccurring. So
Sure.
that's kind of the high vibration living side of it that I participate in, which is we have a farm, like we have beehives, we have chickens. I bring home fish. So we have some meals where it's like teriyaki fish and like we fry eggs, and it's like it's all food that we've procured in some sort of way. And I think that's part of it, is being a little bit, or you could trade, like, hey, I have a friend that has mangoes, here, take some eggs, or like, hey, you want a bottle of honey, try it out, and let me know what you think, sort of thing. And I think starting with that, your friends, like you said, when you try to push something, people push back a little bit.
Sure.
But if you're doing it for you and people see that in you, they're more likely to go from like a potential lead to a lead to like, hey, I'm a customer. I'm on board with whatever you're doing.
Yeah,
like,
more
let's
bees
do
with
it.
honey, pun intended,
Yeah,
right?
more
Like
bees, more exactly.
yeah, more bees with honey.
So
I think I think that's true for anything. I think I especially, in society right now, we're so divided. And there's a lot of that division, I feel like, is a lot of people saying, no, you need to do this or you need to stop doing that. But there's a lot of like finger wagging and oppression. And I'm not choosing sides in that statement. I'm just saying it feels like there's not more of like the, hey, dude, that's cool, but come check this out. Like it's not, it doesn't feel as inviting or as welcoming as what you were just talking about, where it's like I have no agenda other than this is what I'm doing, and I want to expose you to what it is that I'm doing, and maybe something clicks for you, or maybe it doesn't, and that's fine either way. No agenda, right?
Yeah.
But I think if we approach things the way that you were saying, is that like, hey, we're living this way. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it, whatever. But if you're interested, I'll tell you all about it. I think if religion was that way, we'd have a lot more people that would maybe take or, would take to a religion or anything, or even politics. I think if people weren't such assholes about it, pick any subject, I think that you'd rally a lot more people to your cause,
And being like on the concept of being divided, like we all kind of are the same in a sense, like I know it comes up. And in school, I remember teachers like, oh, you need to be individual. You're so individual. You're so different. But the older I get, the more feeling that I could relate to someone else. Like even having these podcasts, like you could put someone that you disagree with and just listen to their side of the story, like listen to their perspective. And then you realize there's not so much finger pointing. Like you're going to live in their shoes and listen to their story. Like that's a big part of it. So the high vibration living on her side of it is she has a yoga teacher training where it's inspiring students that practice yoga and they want to become a teacher. So she guides them through the hours and there's like a physical component, there's a philosophy component. There's Sanskrit, which is like one of the oldest languages. That's a component of it too.
So she can read it?
Oh yeah, and speak it, and she
Really?
chants it, and all of she chants the chants
impressive.
and the mantras. She knows the poses.
Although, going back to the Sanskrit thing, nobody else speaks it. So how do you know if she's really speaking it? No, I'm just kidding.
So you don't. And I mean, even there's been like, scholars that they talk about, the old text and there's still debates, but there are known forgeries, and there are known, and they've even found books. I mean, like this goes back to the Bible as well, where like 1,000 years later they'll find the book of James, and they're like, it matches exactly what, you know. There's a few words that are different, but it's basically the same thing. You know, that one
Yeah.
isn't a forgery. That one's the real deal.
Yeah.
So I think the same thing with Sanskrit. It's like you don't know what they're saying, but it's an old language. There's something there. They figured out something. In this time, like modern humans, we're surrounding this. I think also being surrounded by the digital world was like my biggest reason to want to get out of it. It's like there is a life outside of the digital world that resonates with people.
Amen, dude. Like, bro, you know, the company's called Vilardi Digital because I specialize specifically in digital media.
Yeah.
Wow, it's incredible and it's amazing, and I'm blessed to have it for sure. And my clients are rad, and it's growing, and it's becoming this super cool thing. You said something that like pains my heart, which is this. I'm stuck in front of a computer at a fucking desk most days of the week, right? And so the balance there for me is, you know, get home to the kids. It's cool having kids because kids like to do cool, rad, fun shit. They like to be outside. They like to color. They like to sing. I have a daughter. She loves to dance. I love that. You know, the other night she was just like, hey, can we turn off all the lights and put a disco ball up on YouTube? Because we did this like a year ago. And she just like remembered it. And she's like, can we put the disco ball up and then turn all the lights off and then put the speaker on and just dance to music? And I'm like, yeah. And so we did. And so while that's not the same as charter fishing, it's important. I think the point is it's important to A, be present, and B, like whatever's paying you money, like obviously you got to pay our bills, right? I'm not shitting on it. But don't forget we're human. Don't forget community. Don't forget family if you're blessed enough to have one. If you don't, I strongly urge anybody that if you're at odds with your family right now, do whatever you can to straighten that out, because family matters. You know, if you, and maybe your friends are your family and you're at odds with a friend, sort that out too, man. Like you said something earlier too. We don't know how long we're gonna be here. Tomorrow's not promised. You know, I know that's quite a tangent from working at a desk, but my point is,
every day is
I think
a blessing. Every day
it's a blessing, man,
is.
and it's like it's tough to be stuck indoors sometimes in a craft if you don't have something to balance that out. Which is why I'm really excited to book with you, and I'd love to have Jess on, dude.
Definitely,
just if she's down.
Yeah,
because Sanskrit, I've never even heard it spoken other than I think many moons ago, whenever the Passion of the Christ came out. I think they spoke Sanskrit in that, did they not? I don't know. I have no idea.
I think it was ancient language.
What's it like working and building a brand with your spouse? I mean, so, you know, a lot of people out there are side hustling, husband and wife teams. You see them online. They're everywhere. You find that easy? You find it difficult? You guys butt heads? Like, what advice do you have for maybe some couples out there that are like, hey, we're co-partnering or co-branding this thing? Like, how does that work? How do you guys make it work?
I think it's a challenge no matter what, but also if your spouse or who you choose is up for challenges and challenges you, I think, at least for me, that was healthy in my relationship. You know, I wasn't happy when I wasn't. So I think it goes to the individual. It's like, if you enjoy being challenged and you guys pick challenging things together and you both enjoy that, you realize that it doesn't always work out. It's not always flowers and paychecks and,
Sure.
and healthcare and all the rosy things. But at the end of the day, like, you're going to realize that things are different. You know, you're going to realize that you have your friends that have a 9-to-5 job and they clock in. And even I feel blessed to have a 9-to-5. Like, I felt blessed to come out of college and have a job right away and start working. And maybe that did give me just enough experience and just enough to look back and be thankful for all of that. But I think going back to that, asking about if your spouse or somebody, is just, you have to be supportive. Like, you have to look at them. And even when you get married or even when you get engaged, it's like you have to be in full support of what they're going to do. A lot of time it's like a blind faith, you know. It's like a faith that what they're going to do is going to be fulfilling to them, and that's what's important to me. It's like, if we're in this together and taking that leap into X, Y, and Z is fulfilling to you, then I feel fulfilled to be a part of it. So I think that's my advice to, either you're with the right person and you're going to go for it.
Yeah.
It comes down to you a lot too. I had to find myself before I found the right partner and realized that too.
Sure.
So
That's actually that's profound. So, you mind talking about that? So, was there an event or there's something that happened that forced you to find yourself, or that like this? I gotta figure out who I am because none of this is working. What was that for you?
yeah, it was honestly like I had a father figure in the church early on, and I had a father figure in the church later on. And I had all of these kind of like father figures or mentors that seemed to show up at the right time. And it didn't feel like coincidence anymore. And I think like you have your senses, you smell, your touch, but there's like a sense to spirituality that not a lot of people tap into. And if they do tap into it, they tap into it different than, X, Y. So sometimes when you go to, a group event and you want to feel the same thing that somebody else feels, you don't feel it. And
Sure.
sometimes you do. So I think it's a journey for somebody to find their spirituality, finding the things that make them tick. Sometimes it's rock bottom. I take out a lot of Alcoholic Anonymous that are completely sober, and like that was the changing point for them. But I think for me, it was just a series of bad decisions and kind of ending up on that rock bottom and, selling everything and starting over. I had a computer, a fish tank, and like a guitar and a bike, and just kind of started over and
Sure.
found myself and found the right people at the right times. And that was my support system. I mean, even like with yoga, I think someone was like, well, try, you do it once or you do it twice, but like try it for a few weeks or a few months. And I never did, but I hurt my back to the point where I couldn't do anything else. And I heard somebody, like it was a doctor even, like, have you tried yoga or stretching? And I'm like, man, I heard this 4 or 5 times. Let me give it a go.
Yeah.
And, it's one of the things that I stick with, and I've stuck with it because of that. Like if you do something in your life and you see a result, then you know that what you have put into motion is going to give you a result. And that can be said for a lot of things.
Sure.
So I think that would be the turning point. Is like I said, some people it's a sober living, some people it's finding Christ, and some people it's finding a spirituality, and some people it's finding the right person that they marry, and it allows them to live that part of their life. So
For sure.
like even what we were talking about with the podcast studio, like there's things that they probably wouldn't be allowed if you were in a different situation in your life. So
Right.
I think having a support system, whether it's friends, family, new family, old family, sometimes your friends are better family, and sometimes your family feels like your old family because you remember the good times,
Sure.
So for me, it wasn't a point in life, but luckily when I hit that point, I had a job, I sold off everything, I started over, I ended up in St. Pete. I didn't even want to date anyone, and I met somebody that I ended up loving, dating, falling in love with. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
different for everyone. Sometimes it comes in your 20s or teens or 30s or 40s or it comes at different times.
yeah. It comes when it comes.
Yeah.
When it's right. When it's right. I think. Dang, I had Luke. You're blowing my mind right now, man.
Really?
I had no idea how in tune and spiritual and intentional. I think that's the best word. You're very intentional, and I think that's great because a lot of people, even myself, sometimes I find myself going like having faith in a thing and going, well, it's measured, it's calculated, but for the most part, I don't really know what's going to happen. Fuck it, roll the dice. But man, it's you're moving with intention, and that's great. That's again, and you're inspiring me, man. I'm glad you came.
Thanks. I tried it the other way. I'm telling you, I've tried it the other way. And
Yeah,
I
me
try
too.
to do everything right. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, so there's this book that I just read called Let Them. And it really is. It's talking about letting the friends and family around you do what they're going to do. Let them think what they're going to think about you. There's things that matter more to you and that you could affect. But there's things that you can't affect. And it could be what your family thinks. It could be what the state government thinks. It could be what's going on in the DC. It's things that are out of my control. Why worry about those things? Why wake up? And I think television news taught me a lot of that too. Luckily, I was exposed to that young. It was like I could go to bed mad about something and wake up mad.
Sure.
And ultimately, I couldn't get in my car and change those outcomes. So the Let Me book, and she was also either the co-writer or the writer of there's like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 rule. So it's like when you're feeling down and you're feeling like I don't want to do anything, uninspired, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you have to do it now. Like you gave yourself. And there's another thing, like high five yourself in the mirror in the morning. And statistically, like you have a better day if you look at yourself in the mirror. Like who would have thought it?
Hey man, you got this, all right? Kick ass.
Exactly.
Right. You're fucking. Yeah.
There's a book
I believe
about it. It's a bestseller.
Hey, listen, I believe it. I saw this thing from this guy. I don't remember his name, but essentially he was saying if for 30 days you brushed your teeth with your other hand, your non-dominant hand, and looked in the mirror and said something like 10 times, I love you, I love you, I love you to yourself, he goes, at the end of 30 days, you'd be a radically different person. Now, he didn't say what part of you would be radically different, but I think it's in line with what we're talking about. I think that your attitude, I think attitude's a lot, man. I think, and we kind of started on this. I think if you wake up every day and you go like, today sucks and I fucking hate my job, and you're saying, if you're just putting all this bullshit out, you're not leaving any room for fucking wonderful shit or for possibility or for optimism. There's no space for it, right? And so like, listen, man, I get it. I've been in the dumps. I've been with girls that when I was dating them, I fucking hated, and you're with them because somebody's better than nobody, and that I'm not making excuses for myself. It is what it is. I was 20s were just different. I was a different person, or I've worked jobs that I fucking hated because, we all have bills. You got to work. Change it, man. Be grateful for the shit that you have. If the job sucks, get a new one. If you're not in a position to get a new one, we'll make the best of that one. And I think it starts with attitude, dude. I think that
and it's things that we hear when we're like a kid or whatever, attitude and gratitude, dude. That's the other big one. It's like be grateful, and it's like these buzzwords. But when it comes down to it, like if you really can be grateful for everything and have gratitude, that does change your attitude every day. And optimism, optimism will show that even if you don't hit the mark, you're learning from that. You're learning from, it happens. There's so many things that tie back to fishing, but it's like, hey, we had a plan. We tried it. It didn't work. Well, we know not to try that again. It's you're optimistic about even the failures. So
right.
I think that could go into a lot. And fishing for me was like maybe like a sport or like a pro athlete for someone else that have experienced all of these life lessons very early on. It took me a little bit longer, and I really do. I have to go back to like saying like being out in Mother Nature, and like there is a motherly component about learning some of those lessons through that.
Sure. Do you think that this is you found your calling then? Would you say that? You think this is it for
I'm never
Luke?
Satisfied, like you said.
Yeah.
Never satisfied, like our conversation. But I don't know. I think I found the calling in this. I do have plans for the future. Bigger, better, always. That sort of thing. But also, I don't think this is ever going to go away. I'm always going to keep it open to have a spot for people to enjoy experiences like this. Whether it's what it is today or what it is, in a few years. It might be a bigger boat and further trips and more people and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or it might be less, but more intentional, concentrated types of trips in different locations.
Yeah.
Even going back to captain school, like there were so many opportunities. There was like a bulletin board of jobs. And I came home to my wife and I was like, this one's in the Bahamas for 7 nights, and it's like they're paying $1,100 a night, and I just have to show up and do, and she's like, really? Do you really want that? And I said, well, I guess I started it with $1,100 a night. Exactly. Like, you start talking about it. Like, so it's crazy. The world, there's so many opportunities out there, and unfortunately, we get this little kind of bubble, of your community and your school and your friend zone and your social network, and you don't really look at the big picture a lot of time. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that. And it's like, if you do take that leap, or you do try that class that you've always wanted to take, or you do sign up for this thing at the college that, introduces you to the right person, or there's a art club and you're going to show up to the art club, like just doing those things. I think that creativity lies on those weird edges of your brain, like you've got the mundane, you've got the tasks, you've got the motions that you go through. That's not where you're gonna, get weird and like and branch out and figure these things out. So, art's a weird thing, and there's even a creativity in the fishing, and even like in the cooking. Like I was over cooking for some people, and they're like, "This is art." I said, "What do you mean it's art?" And they're like, "The creativity, the way you place the ingredients, and the way that you put this together, and you thought about it before you bought the things, and the portions, and how you prepared everything."
Yeah.
I was like, "I guess you're right. There's art in everything."
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And but I think it starts so with intention, though. What is your intention? And what I'm hearing from you is your intention on the boat, and you just mentioned cooking. The intention in cooking, the intention of the beekeeping, and you mentioned, swapping eggs for mangoes. There's an intention about you, dude, that's like community, grace, compassion, love, respect, appreciation, intent. It's not by accident, man. You're not just fumbling over these things. I think that they're natural to you, but you're intentional about that, and I think that's rad. I think art is intentional. You want somebody to feel something. Also, it says a lot too. Now that you brought up cooking, going back to your work. So your work looks rad, your website looks rad, your fishing stuff looks rad, your merch looks cool. And then you're intentional with the way you speak. You're intentional with the things you said about your wife. We need to get let's do this, let's do this. And you're saying you're pushing, so there's a lot of intention there. What I'm noticing is that I don't know if it's because you're competitive, or I don't know if it's because like you have a natural ability, man, to like want the best experience for somebody. Cooking is that. You can slop together. You and I can have the same ingredients exactly, right? I cook them, you cook them. Intention is yours going to taste better? Is it going to look better? Is mine going to taste better? Is mine going to look better? And it's like I think you have an intention about you that's saying that, hey, dude, I'm taking a lot of pride in what I'm doing, and more importantly, that customer or consumer experience. I'm doing this with love. There's a passion. There's a love there. There's a pride there. I think that's rad, dude. I'm proud of you.
It's important. Thank you.
I'm proud of you, man. That's like 5 times. Like I said, I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you, man. Not the dude I remember from high school. I can promise you that. Let's talk about conservation, man, because on your website, you're huge. You talk about connection. You talk about, the next generation. You love bringing some kids out. You love teaching them and coaching them and about the ecosystem. And, it's scary out there, dude. A lot of people don't talk about the BP oil spill in the Gulf, and it was like, 15 years ago, give or take. I don't know the exact date. I heard a rumor years ago that it's still leaking, but we just don't talk about it. And then the way we treat the environment and the way we treat the water, and then you hear about companies in Florida, they're just dumping dog shit in there and all their fucking byproducts, and it's like, talk to me about conservation. Talk to me about what laws are changing in 2025, 2026. What's important to you, and why does that matter for the future?
Yeah. So that's a
super loaded, but
it's loaded. It's important though. It's
Yeah.
I think to sum it up, if I've experienced something fishing, or if I've caught a certain species or whatever, I've done it once. I've done it twice. Like I want somebody else to feel that. I want somebody else to catch their first fish or their first whatever. So many times we get like I take these kids out from it might be Cavalry, and I do the kids camp every year, and these kids come on like I fish from the seawall. I didn't catch anything. I fished from the pier. At the end of the day, I'm like, how many fish did you catch? I lost count. He caught more. I caught the biggest one. It was like just seeing their faces light up. This is the first time that they've done this, or this is the first fish. So I think that's a big part of it. Is like once you've experienced it, there's people that have been in my position and they continue to just keep doing it for themselves. And there's a certain aspect to being selfish, which I think is healthy. Like there's certain things you have to do for yourself. But for me, it was I wanted them to feel the same way that I felt when it was my first time. So that's a big part with getting the kids and the next generation involved. And it is conservation, because if you get them involved for the right reasons and seeing that they can make a difference to conserve the future generation, of fishing and ecosystem. It goes to the mangroves. It goes to the wetlands. It goes way beyond the ocean. But if you've looked at societies and civilizations throughout time, they've always kind of ended up where there's a lake or there's a mouth of a river, there's a peninsula or some sort of island, some sort of boundary or
Where there's
barrier
life.
with water. Exactly.
There's
So
life.
if we all have a healthy fear of the ocean. I think it's, you're a psychopath if you show up on my boat and you're not afraid of getting in the water. We all have a healthy fear of it, but we've also congregated and civilized along, the ocean. as
Entire
well.
economies are run on shorelines.
So I want to just emphasize that to the younger generation, how important it is and what personally you could do. There's a lot that goes on, in the legislator's office. I don't know what goes on, but there are people making choices and decisions that trickle down to our ecosystem, and they do know what they're doing is either right or wrong. And a lot of time it's you follow the money trail. You follow who's being paid for what and why things are getting done. And it's not always for conservation. I thought growing up that these decisions were being made to conserve, the state and the resources, but ultimately find out that you follow the money trail.
Yeah.
It's not always about that. So I try to explain that to the youth and the kids, is that how important this is to me now looking back is where I was in their shoes catching my first fish, that hopefully I make an impact that, when they're 30, 40, 50 years old, that they realize how important it is as well.
Yeah, you can still fish these waters, dude.
And your kids can still fish the waters,
Right.
and there's still waters there to fish,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Have you noticed personally like a change in our local ecosystem?
Yeah.
Less fish, more fish? What's going on out there, dude?
So it's more the water quality. The ocean is large. I mean, it's vast. We have 76%, I think, of the world at least the surface is covered in ocean.
Yeah.
And we don't know what goes. That's the other thing. We've sent more people to the moon than we have to the bottom of the ocean.
Sure.
We don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, we need more James Camerons going down there, or like not that team. God bless them that went down there, and that story was horrifying
Yeah.
about that team that went down there. Jeez, but anyway, yeah, we don't know what the hell's going on down
But
there.
at least on our coast, where the water's shallow and where we integrate with society, we do know what we could do to make it better. And ultimately, dumping wastewater, dumping runoff, phosphate, nitrogen, which is usually the byproduct, or it's a pollutant that's used for fertilizer production. When that gets into our waterways, it kind of supercharges the natural algae and the ecosystem that was there, and not in a good way, because that'll starve out oxygen, and that's the environment for the fish. So I think in Florida for the last 20, 30 years, we've had a water quality issue in most of those shallow wetlands. On the East Coast, it was Mosquito River Lagoon, Titusville, Cape Canaveral. Over here, Tampa Bay, down south, Punta Gorda, Fort Myers. Everglades has seen a definite change by how they rerouted. The Army Corps of Engineers actually rerouted the natural flow of the water in the Everglades. So they're seeing a lot of changes down there.
And why did they do that in the Everglades? Do we know why?
There's some debate. Mostly the side of the fisherman and the captain is it's the not the pharmaceutical, but the pharmacological. So Big Sugar is kind of takes the blame for it. You've probably heard of Big Sugar before.
Sure.
It's how they're farming the land down there and how they're rerouting and dispersing the natural flow of water.
Yeah.
And then also you have all the runoff and all the fertilizer and all the pesticides
All
and
the
everything.
byproducts that are just
that goes
shitting
with
into
it.
our fucking water.
Yep.
Have you noticed like a decline in fish populations?
Yeah,
or?
definitely. And seagrass and mangrove. And when it's that, it's the same thing. It's the new generation. That's where the fish go to lay their eggs, and trickles down. The other thing is like especially Louisiana, like Mississippi River Delta, there's a shad population. It's a type of fish that feeds. Well, we have fish farming from other countries, like not U.S., not Canada, not Mexico, that are there just hundreds of thousands of pounds of shad every day. So if they're taking the fish, then the tuna fish and some of the larger species have nothing. So I see it there. I saw it, like I said, on the east coast of Florida, the Indian River Lagoon. I've seen it in Punta Gorda. We have very crazy red tide outbreaks because of it, and it seems like it's supercharged from the phosphate and the nitrogen that's being run off into the water. So we are impacting it. We just don't know to what scale. I guess the same could be said with global warming and climate changes.
Sure.
We're here, we're impacting it, but to what scale are we impacting it, But I could tell you it's not always for the good, and it's not always for conservation. It's mostly, like I said, you follow the money trail, you see who's getting paid and for what, and then that's why the legislation or the decisions get made.
Yeah, and you wonder, like, these dudes or people that run these mega corporations or these big pick a fucking industry companies. Do they live here? Are they out there in these waters? Are they fishing? Are their kids swimming in it? Are their kids drinking the water? If the answer is fucking no, it's like, there's no accountability. There's no ownership of impact. You don't care because it's like it's happening to them over yonder, right? It's not happening to me. Yeah. And I think, like, I guess I get it because as human beings, like, nothing ever happens unless it happens to you, right? Yeah. So, like, as empathetic as we try to be to people, it's like unless it happens to you, you typically don't give a shit. But
think about like consulting. So if we had a consulting team full of fishermen, they would say this is the way that you should move the needle. But if I was a consultant that I just look at the data points, like, look, you gave me all of these data sheets, I'm putting it and you want more profit, and this is how we do it, and boom, like, here's the decision that's made. They don't think about what's happening downwind or downstream.
I wonder, is there like I imagine there is. Is there a Florida like guild of captains and anglers that like that rally?
Yeah,
that
there's different groups, definitely, but even some of them have been compromised. They're selling merchandise. They're selling merchandise. They're preaching. I mean, one that I was for was CCA, which was Coastal Conservation of Anglers. And it was that in the late 90s and the early 2000s. They sponsored tournaments and there was prizes, and I was all for them. But ultimately, what they wanted to do was shut down any sort of take-home catch. It was all catch and release. So they were all for the wetlands and everything. But at the end of the day, like, if people want to keep what they caught, that's a big part of it. And even legally, like if it was in the Florida or the Gulf legislation to say, okay, redfish has to be 26 inches, even if it was legal, the CCA wanted you to throw it back. So, like I said, the other one that I could think of is Captains for Clean Water. Same thing, great name, great slogan. They had a great logo.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Exactly. Once the merch sales, hit so much.
Motherfuckers.
I mean, they were selling hats, they were selling license plates, and then there was a change, I think, in the
leadership.
CEO.
Yeah,
exactly.
leadership.
And then,
somebody
boom.
came in and there was a merger that went down.
So I see it all the time. I wish. I mean, the other big one right now, which I see, is they're trying to force and divide between recreational fishermen, for-hire charter captains, and commercial captains. So they're actually making rules for each of those three groups to kind of pit them against each other. Like, oh, the commercial guys are the problem.
Division, man.
Then you could
wonder why? Because, oh man, it's all over the place. Because we're fighting each other, we won't be fighting them.
It's a playbook.
It's 100% intention. Talking about intention, that's the bad kind of fucking intention. Do you have good intention?
It's like if you had a playbook on what to do to screw something up, it's like you're following every play to do that. Otherwise, you have to convince me otherwise. So in this case, we have a season for recreational fishermen, we have a season for hire, and then we have a season for commercial. So you're telling me that the first two groups can't keep any fish year-round, but then the third group could go slaughter 2,000 pounds a day, 365 days a year.
Right.
But you're doing it for conservation. No, it's because they're taxing.
Profiteering.
That's what it is. They tax. And then they try to get us mad at each other.
Sure.
Because it's like if I'm pointing the finger at him, then the groups are a lot smaller and they know how to conquer those.
Sure. I mean, I guess that kind of answered my next question about like what upsets you the most or pisses you off about the industry. It sounds like it's compromised and in some parts run by people who don't fish it and don't give a shit.
I mean, I've seen this. I've seen the flip side, which is other countries. I've dove in Mexico, dove in South America and the Caribbean, Mediterranean. You see a lot less fish. And it's because, and this happened in Hawaii too, is that you have generations upon generations of people that fished a certain way. It's like we call it Indian rules, like they have their own set of rules. And then when legislation happens, they're like, wait, why do I have to change the rules? We've been doing it this way for so long. And then the other aspect of that would be enforcement. It's like, hey, we have these rules. You can't keep this fish. Well, who's going to enforce the rules? And they're still going to break the law. So I'm grateful that there's something there. that we have this resource, it's protected, and there's things enforcement involved to keep it protected. And like I said, the flip side is you dive in Mexico, anywhere within casting distance, like you could go within like 150 yards ashore, everything is gone. Like it's completely pillaged. And then you go a little bit past where people could cast their rods and the reef becomes alive again. And it's like people will keep everything that they catch every single day or every time they go fishing, and you can't do that either, you know.
Yeah, well, it's just not sustainable.
The Indians actually had it figured out, apparently. You know, I read a few of those books where they were like sustaining the buffalo population, like only taking a certain amount and then using all the parts of it that they wouldn't impact the herds, you know.
The community.
Yeah.
And the future generations.
And the future generations.
Yeah. So it comes down to respect. Well, it comes down to respect for sure. Awareness. You know, I think that we're selfish. All of us, myself included. I think we're just a selfish society. I think that a lot of us is about me, take. What's in it for me? What's in it for me, right?
Definitely.
And I think that we don't think about community until there's a big fucking hurricane that fucks, you know. And I know you guys were impacted by that, right? Then all of a sudden, everybody's in the same boat, right? And so that's where community shows up. And I hate to see it when it takes a natural disaster or something fucking horrific to happen. But I guess the lesson there is that, yeah, do we need each other? You know, we're nothing without community. We're nothing without the people that love us or the people that we love. And we need to love this. This earth is all we got. This body's all we got. You know, like this life is all we got. Mm-hmm. What are you doing with it? You know, are you going to just burn it?
And we're only here for like a flash, too. I mean,
dude,
it feels like less and less the older you get.
Are you and your wife, I don't want to pry, but I'm going to, you and Jess talking about having kids?
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it.
Bro, when you have kids, that whole lifespan flash takes on a whole new thing,
because they grow up quick. Like, we were just talking, 7 years old already.
Yeah, dude. And it was just like, it chokes me up if I start talking about it too much because, not because of my life is fleeting. It's just that, like, you realize that, man, the moments are macro, dude. These just macro moments that feel like they were just yesterday, and they weren't. It was 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever it was, dude. And it just like, it puts shit in perspective for you for real.
It does.
Right? Children are a blessing, marriage is a blessing, all these things are a blessing. It just changes everything, man. My whole perspective on shit and what's important and what matters, man, has literally go boom, like 180 for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire stuff. We'll wrap it up here because you've been so gracious with your time. Nah, man, chilling. I appreciate you. You were out. What time did you go out this morning?
I left at 7 to go pick them up. So
but you're out in the sun though, and
we got puppies. The puppies wake us up in the, first thing, No,
dude. You're not wrong.
But, speaking of the whole thing in the flash, there was a scientist that did 20-year study on near-death experience, and all of the near-death experience surveyors, for like 98%, all kind of answered the same questions. Like, I saw a black hole, and then the hole got bigger, and there was a light at the end of the tunnel. And as I was reaching the light, my life flashed before my eyes. And, like, that's the important sentence, is your life flashes before your eyes. And are you going to look back and say, like, it was worth it? Like, I did the things I wanted to do. I lived a fulfilling life, however long it was. Yeah. And I think that if you use that as your motto, like, with marketing and advertising, we said that a lot. Like, go into a business, create a motto, and define some values. Like, if you define that as your motto and you have your values, it doesn't matter what gets thrown at you or how you end up. Like, that was your mantra for every day, to live life through that motto and have those values.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very important part of, like, this whole how did you get into it and why are you doing it, is like, I love seeing the videos and, like, I want to go back out and do that more, and that's, if I could look back and that's all I did, great. That was cool for me.
I mean, I look at this too, dude, and you guys are going super deep, dude.
Some of it looks deeper than it is.
Yeah, that's a lens working. How long are you holding your breath down there for?
So most of the dives we train ourselves for, like, especially for tournaments. I learned this from a mentor, was like 1 minute down, 1 minute up, and then your breathe up really says a lot about your next dive. So the people that do it competitively, they'll spend up to like 20 minutes breathing up. They have a whole ritual on the surface. Breathe through your lungs, do this, bring your heart rate down, all these steps. But if you did that 20-minute ritual, you're going to maximize your bottom time. So we do something called like a static breath hold in training. And static would be in the water but not moving. So you'll do it in a pool or a hot tub or something. And usually you do it with a buddy to make sure that you're safe and they've got a stopwatch and a hand on you. Right. But most people in the water, it kicks on what they call a mammalian dive reflex, and we all have it. Once your face gets wet, your capillaries and your arteries actually shrink up, and all of the blood and oxygen stays in your vital organs. And it actually lets you hold your breath longer than if you're not wet. All mammals have it. Like they found it in deer, they found it at elephants.
Crazy.
They find it. So on the couch, I don't push it. I don't train crazy, but on the couch I do like 3 minutes, and in the water I do like 3:30. So it's like a 30-second bump doing a static breath
Which
hold.
is a lifetime down there if you're holding a shot on a fish.
So most of it is the kicking. So your quadriceps and your glutes are like your biggest muscles. So as you're kicking, you're burning up oxygen. So that's why those static breath holds are going to be longer. But for hunting, I mean, at the beginning of when the winter's over, I look at my watch. I'm like, oh man, that was a 45-second dive. And then sometimes at the end of the summer and you're in the zone, you're like, minute 45, 2 minutes, longer. I'm not into that whole aspect of push it and longer and deeper, but
you're not Tom Cruise.
Well, there's some very competitive divers that do that, and I lost a friend this year, my good buddy Drake Sweet, pushing it. He was pushing it, and it happens in the sport, unfortunately, and we all
Sorry
have.
to hear that.
Yeah, we all have. I know. I've been surrounded by. Mentioned my friend Cole when I was 18, and then Drake, but if you push it, you will find out your limit quickly. And that's dangerous with freediving, is blacking out. And if you black out and you don't have the right people around you, like that's it. That's the game over right there. But if you do have the right training and you do have the right people around you, it's not unsafe. Like there's a way to dive safely every time you go out and come back to see your loved ones. So that's, when that topic gets brought up, how long and how far and how deep, like I kind of like hold my ground with it. Like I go as deep as I need to see a fish, or I only go as long as I have to.
You're not trying to impress anybody.
No, you don't want to have to. But there are, having that computer, so we wear like a dive watch, a computer, it's essential because it tells you how long you've been on the surface, how long you've been underwater, how deep you are, how many dives you did that day. I mean, there's times where you're like, oh, I feel exhausted. And I did 60 dives today. Okay, that makes sense. Or, oh, I still feel like I have energy. Okay, I've only been diving 20, 30 feet today. So having that data point on your wrist is, as you become a beginner and a more intermediate and advanced diver, like it's a tool that it's like when it's gone, it's like you forgot your shoes today, like it's that bad. So there are some essential, gear things as you kind of progress that you really rely on, and it becomes like I was thinking about this when we came in. The stuff we're doing out there is not that hard. Like I could take you maybe 30 hours, a few weekends, and like you'd be doing that with us. I think the hard thing is putting in the time, finding the numbers, learning the patterns, finding when it's fishy, when it's not fishy, reading the charts, the weather. There's so many other factors that go. A lot of times we get like a good shooter, like he could shoot fish really good. And then we have some people, they're like, okay, he's a really good diver, but his aim is off and he can't really see. Or like this captain's really good at finding the fish, but when he gets there, he's not going to get in the water. So I think it's like having a good balance.
The perfect storm of like
everything.
Yeah, it's like having the perfect team. You need a team.
Even like in music or in marketing and advertisement, like it could be a lifelong journey to to get where you want to be. And like I'm in a dive club with 60 guys, and we all do it, like we've done it. I mean, we're probably all like a type A personality. Like there's some things that we kind of have to be. We have in common, but like it's not hard to learn how to do it. It's not crazy. But it looks impressive. Like I said, I'm just a normal
It is impressive.
guy.
No, but it is impressive. It's a skill set. Like you said, I think like all things, it requires time, commitment, a passion.
Doing it.
Yeah, doing it. You show up, right? Here comes the rapid stuff.
Fireball. All right.
Yeah, here it comes. Ready? So this is it's kind of silly, but judging by my body shape, what's your favorite boat snack? What's like mandatory? Do you bring a boat snack every time? Is it carrots? What's your
I
thing?
like the Publix Cuban subs. That's kind of
Attaboy.
my go-to, and I like those dirty chips, the kettle chips.
Dude, speaking my language, do you have one of those like torpedo
No,
sub sealer
we
things?
won a bunch of them in a tournament, and then after the hurricane, like we never used them. They got thrown. Actually, Jessica made for like jelly beans and like almonds, like the smaller ones, but not for subs.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah. I think of pub. Every time I've been on the boat, it's been pub subs.
Subs.
Definitely kettle chips. 100%. That's like
She
you
likes
have to do
so
it.
one of our mentors, GR Tar with Red Tide Spearfishing, he said pretzels. He said the pretzel sticks, something about like the salt and the hydration and keeping you from getting seasick. So Jessica loves bringing the pretzels and
sticks.
pretzel sticks.
I'm gonna add it to the list. When
And
we
no
come.
bananas. No bananas.
Oh, why?
There's
No,
like
tell
a
me that.
superstition with not just spearfishing and freediving, but with fishing in general. Is like if you don't catch any fish and you open up the cooler, you're like, who brought the bananas? The bananas were bad luck, or that's why we didn't catch anything.
Interested.
I never.
So it's just like a wives' tale. Then
It is, but I did Google it, so there's no false.
It's on the internet. It's gotta
So
be
they
real.
said that it was because when they were importing bananas, that there would be like banana spiders that brought diseases and stuff, or that when there was shipwrecks, that the ship wasn't left and that there was only floating bananas from the ships coming. So like the bananas are the only thing that float, so it meant that there was a shipwreck or someone nearby that died, or that bringing the insects and the spiders in.
It's like bad juju.
Bad juju.
I forget which. It might have been one of the Pirates of the Caribbean's movies or whatever. I forget, but where it's like bringing women on board was actually bad juju way back in the day.
I think so.
I don't know. Well,
Boxing too. I heard Mike Tyson said that no women like the weeks going into the fight or something.
oh yeah. Well, that's like because you want your fighter's edge. So
Yeah.
I think that's true for a lot of like pro athletes that are like
Something there.
something about keeping like your testosterone. You want that aggression.
Yeah.
I don't. I never.
Never got to that level.
Yeah, despite my good looks and my, I was never an athlete. I chose music, Luke. In all your travels, Mexico, the Caribbean, Key West, wherever you've been, have you ever seen a fish and like you didn't know what it was, so you named it? Like, have you ever seen a species you didn't fucking know? Like, what the fuck is this?
I definitely have. I haven't tried it. I always like try to identify it. Like, what have other people named it? Google it. Try to go off of identifying features. But the ocean is vast, and there's always a chance that you're looking at something for the first time. It's usually in the deeper zones. They have like the Noretic zone. They have the different zones of the ocean where there's a lot of unknown species and stuff gets named all the time. Also, I learned in the Tampa Bay Reef Club, we used to trade and buy coral that like a bunch of these hard corals come from a very small triangle in the Pacific. It's like the Solomon Islands to Fiji to like New Zealand. And that little triangle is responsible for like 99% of the hard coral species, and there's like thousands of these species, and they're from this little part of the planet. So there's definitely like stuff like that going on. And then there's other fish like cobia and like Spanish mackerel and just herring and sardines that are in every ocean and every sea in the world too.
Around the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've been. I know where you're going with the questions. Like
Yeah.
I've been in that predicament. We're like, what is it, and is it something new?
But there's no lukey fish out there. What would you
no
name it if you found a fish?
I don't know. That's
How do
a
you
good
name a
one.
fish? Do you name it off of like characteristics, or is it like
So
a
there's a s-
Hemingway thing? Like
There's a scientific. There's always a scientific name and a common name.
Sure.
And scientific names a lot of time are like Latin or like based off of a few defining features. But a lot of time the Latin name, like somebody will like put in their last name or like
Sure.
add a little bit to it to like make it personalized.
Yeah, if you ever see one out there that like really loves salami and and drinking beers, this is
it's
Vilardine.
you.
Yeah, it's not a sardine, it's a Vilardine. Yeah,
Vilardine.
that's a Vilardine fish. What's the most Florida man thing you've seen offshore? And obviously, I take it you know what I mean by Florida man.
People firing off guns, fighting for fishing spots. Seen that. Shotguns. Cubans that don't speak English and they're out there, circling you and you're trying to figure out what they're saying, stuff like that. That's pretty.
Wait, hold on, dude. That's way too
Florida
many.
guy.
Let's go backwards. So let's go to the shotgun thing first.
One of the
'cause
shotgun incidents.
so was he taking out a fish or just
No,
test,
so
drive, test firing his new?
I got this question today too on the charter was why do you keep your boat up here?
Yeah.
And it is kind of to get away from the public. I noticed in Clearwater there was a lot of boat traffic. In St. Pete there's a lot of boat traffic. There's only so many fishing spots and so much hard bottom, but the popular congregations are like shipwrecks. So
Sure.
a lot of the time, there's one shipwreck, 30 miles, 40 miles, whatever. So you're with all your boys. It's 5 a.m. It's dark, and you're running to this shipwreck, and you go 3 hours, and like you're a mile away, and you're like, "What is that? Is that another boat?" You're like, "It kind of looks like another boat," and you're looking at the GPS, and you're like triangulating. You're like, "I think he's on our spot."
Yeah.
And there's someone out there. So that happened to us one time there was actually scuba divers on the wreck, and we were coming up to freedive, and the captain that was watching the divers pulled out a shotgun and started shooting it in the air, like threatening us that we were too close to, and we couldn't fish there or dive there that day.
Got it.
The other incident with the Cubans.
So hold on, let's stay there real quick. Sorry,
Yeah.
just for me and those that don't get. So was he doing it to warn you that hey, slow your boat down? Don't come
No,
over?
he was.
he was like,
saying,
don't come here
yeah,
at
like,
all.
I'm
This
claiming
is our
my
turf.
spot. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
back
I'm claiming it. Yeah,
That's
I got here
lame.
first. You can't.
Is that a thing?
There's a common courtesy out there.
Sure.
Well,
but that doesn't sound very courteous.
No, it's not courteous at all. So I look for the anchor line always. Like if somebody's on a spot, it's usually because their anchor is out. And you can see the anchor line. Okay, they're on the spot. I get it. But in this case, with scuba divers, he didn't have the anchor out. He was just kind of idling around, go a little bit forward, going back. Sometimes they watch for the bubbles of the scuba divers to kind of stay on top of them. So it appeared that's what he was doing. So I was in the position to anchor the boat, and I guess he didn't like that. He was claiming the spot as his. So there is a law. If you have a diver down flag, you're not allowed to be within 300 feet of that boat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's not on a public number. So like they have these artificial reefs which are publicly posted. So the law changes because if you have a congregation of a lot of people trying to fish one spot, it's like the law changes a little bit. So
Sure.
I always think of it, like I said, common courtesy is like if you're anchored there, you're there first. Okay, got it. I'm not going to drop the anchor
Not gonna be
right
a
on
dick.
top of you.
Yeah, you're not an asshole, right?
But at the same time, you don't want to run 2 hours and then get to the spot and realize that somebody else is there. And
So that was the shotgun one. What was the next craziest Florida man type thing? You said the Cubans circling you. What?
Yeah, I don't know what they were. I mean, I speak a little bit of Spanish. They were angry about something. They were up in arms. I was in a little boat. My boat, I think, was like, this was the Cole's boat. It was like 16 foot, 17 foot boat. They were in a bigger boat, 3 guys circling. I don't know what they're saying, and it freaked me out. It was like,
Were you alone?
no, I had one guy with me from work. Yeah, this
Right.
guy Broderick. And like, we're like, like looking at him like, dude, what do we do?
Yeah.
So
That's wild,
that was
dude.
kind of Florida. I mean, I just think of like Florida, man. Like we get that. We're close to Cuba. We're you don't know what's gonna be out there. And we weren't that far offshore. We weren't that like.
You ever find any like treasure?
I bought a pirate coin. Because
Sure.
somebody asked me, "Did you find the pirate coin?" I've looked for cool. Like today, we found some shells. We found some cool stuff, but
Yeah.
like not anything
You
that's
didn't
like.
find like a kilo of coke or
No, so they call it a square grouper, a square grouper. So
That's great.
in our
Yeah.
area, we don't find too much of that. But
Sure, you gotta go
down in
further
the
south,
Keys,
yeah.
it's a very known thing. There's stories, I've heard stories.
Sure, but you've never.
Never.
No treasure, no square groupers. So again, we kind of touched on this, like the banana thing, no women, superstitions, whatever. Do you personally have any like, hey man, before I get on the boat, or when I'm on the boat, or when I get to a fisherman, do you do like a Lasha Makila, or like what do you?
Not really. I mean, one of the mentors that I dive with, TGO, the great one, Richie Zacher, every time he's been on my boat, he double checks the drain plug. Like there's been more boats that have sunk at the boat ramp or at the dock because they didn't put the drain plug. It's one of the things you do every single time. So
It's like a checklist of
that's
things.
one. And whenever family, friends, I always tell them drain plug, and then the next important thing is turn the batteries off. So that's always my thing. Is like when I leave, make sure the drain plug's out and the batteries are off. When I'm back, the drain plug goes in, the batteries. So that's kind of just like it's like a car. It's like make sure that the keys are
It's
in
like
the
muscle
ignition.
memory at this point. Yeah,
that
for
sort of thing.
sure.
So those are it. I mean, really fishing, there's not like, I don't like pray to the fish gods or like do like a mantra or like a dance or anything. I think I've really learned that it's a lot is out of your control, and like call it karma or call it like a divine like intervention, but things happen to certain people. I'm just the vessel. Like I bring them out there. I learned a lesson when I was like 15 or 16. I kept a fish that was out of season. And I remember this, like, I think I was like 14 or 15. And I was at that point, like, where I was riding my bike to the tackle shop and buying lures in my spare time. Like, I was into it. And I had a few friends that were into it. And we're showing each other, you know, what I caught and what'd you catch and all this stuff. And I remember I caught something that was out of season. And I'm like, I'm going to keep it. You know, nobody will know. And, you know, I'm not going to get caught.
And you were going to, just not to interrupt, you were going to keep it to put in an aquarium or keep it to eat?
Keep it to eat it. Or
Okay.
keep it to kill it. Yeah,
Sure.
bleed it and cut it up and get the fillets.
Yeah.
And the rest of that summer, I couldn't buy a catch. I didn't catch anything. So at the beginning of the season, it was a great season. I caught this fish. Okay, it's a league. I've never caught one of these. I'm going to keep it. I heard how great they taste, and I'm going to, you know, everybody's going to be happy when I bring it home. The rest of that summer, I didn't catch, and I still did my routine, the same baits, the same everything. So I told myself, like, you can't follow some of the rules. Like, I can't follow some of the rules on this planet and then just all of a sudden like cheat a few of the rules.
Sure.
Like it's all or nothing in that aspect. And you're only cheating yourself if you do cheat. You know, I kind of realized that too. It's like a lot of the rules, I mean, even back to religion, a lot of the religions talk about the same, you know, golden rules. And they're there for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that bad juju, man. You don't want any of that bad juju. And I don't want any, I can't have you having bad juju if I'm going to come on your boat, man. I need good juju
Definitely.
only. Good juju only. You know, I was watching a couple of your videos, you know, in prep for you coming on the show, and one of them you listen to a lot of Pepper. You're a big Pepper fan.
I like Pepper. Kona Town.
Is that the band? Is that the go-to band on your boat, or like do you have like we're going on this boat, I gotta listen to this song?
I like Pepper live. They're one of the greats. Like when it comes to just like a 3-piece and bring the energy, and at least in my generation, you know, there's been previous
for sure.
greats. No, I have like reggae playlists. I have boat playlists. I have like old country. I have Jimmy Buffett. Kind of what I do is I judge who's coming on the boat. You know?
Feel the room.
Yeah,
You read the room.
Hey, where are you guys from? You know, like that sort of thing.
We're from Chicago. It's like I
got a playlist. You know, some Hall & Oates for you,
exactly.
some yacht rock.
Yeah, that's
but
funny.
that's it, man.
Yeah.
I like Pepper. I like Dirty Heads, but I don't like them live. Slightly Stupid has evolved a lot. You know, they were punk rock. They're a little bit more reggae. I like Stick Figure. He's like a one-man band, really popular. But no, man, I think music is a big part of being out there. Like, you got to have some speakers. You have to have some jams going. Not loud enough where everyone hears you, but at least a little rhythm, a little something.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that at the beach. I hate
like
it when I'm
so
driving.
loud that
I hate it everywhere. You know, I've gone out on boats with buddies, and it's one thing if it's like, you know, a holiday, 4th of July, Memorial Day, or whatever, and you go to like a, you know, a sandbar, and it's a party, you know, and that's one thing. But not everybody likes your music, and that's okay. And so I always make it a point, you know, to like keep it within a 3 to 5 feet.
Yeah.
You know, depending on how crowded it is, you reduce that down by a foot
That's
or
safe.
so.
Yeah.
Just like enough for us, enough to where you could talk over it. You know, you're not like, yeah, bro, blah, blah. But then there's some people that literally, I saw, we were at Dunning Causeway, or Honeymoon Island. And this dude, his speaker was on wheels.
Like
it was like a suitcase, dude.
With like LEDs.
And I just said to my wife, I was like, man, this and sure as shit, it was like, and it was loud. It was like, come on, dude. And it's not the type of music. It's not even the type of person from like an ethnic standpoint.
Yeah.
It's just like the type of person is asshole.
Yeah.
This isn't just your beach. It's everybody's beach.
Read the room.
Yeah, read the room, dude.
Yeah.
Read, you know, play the thing.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Luke, you've been super dope. If anybody wants to, you're going to talk to this camera right here. That's your camera. If people want to book with you, if they want to learn more about you, where do they go, Luke?
CaptainLuke.com. It's the best place to find me. Instagram at Luke_Bonner.com. You could Google review me. There's a YouTube channel with some of our vacation videos and stuff. But best thing to do is just go to CaptainLuke.com. There's a schedule there. Usually has like a month or two out of some of the available dates. And a lot of the times I'll put the season at the top. So what you're booking is like what the available season or the current season is.
Right on.
So I think that's the best place. But I think also Instagram has the videos, the stories. I use the stories like I feel like they're supposed to be used. You just like put up.
I don't know. I feel like I'm booming it on social sometimes.
I don't do the ads. Jessica's great on the phone. She's like, you got to do this and you got to put the promos and you got to do the videos. And I'm kind of just like, I put it out there and it'll come, you know.
Yeah.
Like if it's meant
I'm
to
the same
be,
way.
it'll come. Yeah.
I'm the same way, man. I think like you know, and thank you for that. I give everybody the opportunity, but I'm organic. It comes organically. You know,
does.
a lot of my clients are the same as yours, word of mouth, referral, etc. And I prefer it that way because they're speaking good on me. You know, and then they know the type of caliber, usually the type of caliber person that needs me. Also, too, real quick, notice now. So that's still your marketing thing.
It is, yeah.
Are you? And you're actively still doing marketing?
Still doing it, yeah. So I was freelance. You know, I did everything for a while. Luke Bonner. I had like Luke Bonner Designs. I had like a little thing, but actually, when I left McKinsey, they like tried to scrub me off of the internet. It was weird. Like they took my company email away. I actually had a USG computer. It was like a US government computer for like laptop. Everything was, everything got handed over to the firm. So some of my clients and just people that I worked with over time, like they got a hold of me through Facebook. Like I was getting Facebook messages on like, hey, we did this or we did that. You think we could continue or, you know, we start something new. So what I had to do is actually set up like a vendor service, you know, instead of using my name. So same thing as I was thinking about what should I do? And the Notice Now thing got popular. Like in my head, it was something that just kept reoccurring. Like this is popular to me. Maybe it's popular to someone else. So the thought was that, you know, you get noticed, you know, Notice Now. And I bought the domain and I did all the business in the name of Notice Now and kind of transitioned away from my McKinsey, you know, consultant name.
Yeah. So let me back that up a little bit. Maybe I'm misunderstanding. So Notice Now is exclusive to you.
Yes.
Okay.
It's kind of like a small digital, you know, like the
Vilardi digital. Got
exactly.
it. Okay, cool.
Yep.
For some reason, I started to get I was getting the feeling that like Notice Now, like it was a platform of sorts for you, but also available to other people that could be on the Notice Now
network. Maybe there's something there.
I don't know, bro.
So I'll
join right now. I want to be noticed.
The domain
now-ish
keeps going up. So, you know, like there's domain brokers.
Oh, yeah, dude, these fucking guys. Man, forget it. You know, something that when you do have kids, this is to everybody who's about to have kids, and this was a small tidbit given to me by another animator, you know, colleague in the marketing space. As soon as you know your kid's name, get that Gmail. Right, so their full name at gmail.com, right? So that way you have it for when they're 18, 20, whatever. So secure that, and then secure their .com. And GoDaddy, to your point about domains, it gets kind of pricey, but like right now, especially for like nobody's bidding on this fucking URL or this domain. So usually when you have a brand new kid that's 1 day, 1 month, 1 year old, you can usually get in there for like stupid cheap, dude.
Yeah.
You know, domains can be, and in this case, are really cheap.
Yeah, scoop it, definitely.
Man, I'm gonna tell you. Oh, I asked a question, and I think, you know, in the beauty of our conversation, which was kind of just going around, I never got an answer. When should I book?
Yes,
with my family. So I got
question.
2. Yeah, so I got a 7 and a 4-year-old. My wife, they're all awesome. It looks like you can get up to 6 comfortably.
Up to 6. That's the law. You know, the loss for this type of uninspected passenger vessel is up to 6.
Sure. So I'd probably bring my brother and maybe, I mean, again, I got a lot of people. Everybody wants to go on a boat, right, until the day of. But like people I know that will be us 4. Probably my dad, and then definitely one of my brothers. So that's like the 6 right there.
Yeah.
When's the best time to go? My brother's kind of a puss when it comes to being seasick. And now that I said that, I'm going to get fucking seasick. So I'll bring pretzels. But pretzel sticks specifically.
Pretzel sticks.
Yeah. But when's the best time to go?
I always say it's always the best time to go, but I mean that's
Today,
kind of
let's go right now. No, but is it nighttime? Well, obviously for kids, nighttime would probably be rough. But for small kids, and we don't have to go fucking. We're not going to Bermuda, dude. Like,
Yeah.
just going out. What do you think?
I would say historically, like we're back at talking about patterns, is people talk about the spring and the fall. The spring and the fall, there's always a movement, a migratory fish, the migratory bait are moving, migratory birds are moving. Summer, it slows down, and in the winter, it slows down. January and February, just looking at my calendar, have never been like historical months where I'll book anybody. It's just in Florida, we get the brutal cold. We get some pretty good wind events. Usually when there's tornadoes, it's usually like the end of December, January, February. We're talking about Seasick. Like today, it was flat calm. It was like 4-mile-an-hour winds. There was no, you wouldn't get sick on a day like
but it was
today.
1,000 degrees today, dude.
But we were in the water, so that
that's
makes
right,
it
'cause
part
you
of
were
it. When you're
scalloping today.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did half
scalloping.
scalloping and then half fishing. So, but I mean, it's hot out there. I get it. But also, I tell this to everyone. When we come in the river and you feel all the concrete and all the radiation of all the building, it's 10 degrees hotter. Like it's hotter on land than it is out there. You get
concrete
the
jungle.
wind, you get the wind and the surface temperature. So I would say if you're after, like, I want to catch most fish, the biggest fish, it's mandatory that we're going to have the best days. I would say sometime in the spring, maybe the end of May. June.
I gotta wait a year, bud.
No, and
Don't make me wait a year. I promised my 7-year-old we're gonna go September.
September's a great month.
September?
So at the beginning of September, we get our gag grouper season, which thank you, legislators for giving us.
Brought to you by Pfizer. Yeah.
Thank you for giving us 2 weeks this year. Seriously, when I was a kid, it was 5 grouper per person year round, and they only had to be 20 inches. They were small. Then they said you're only allowed 2 20 inches. Then they said 2 22 inches. Then they said only 5 months a year. So it's like when they take, they never give it back. But this year,
let that be a lesson to you about big government. Anything when they take, they never give it back.
They never do. So this year, September, the first 2 weeks, which same thing. If I go through my historical calendar, it's usually like not the best weather. Usually there's a storm brewing in the Atlantic, or we've already had a hurricane or two, or some sort of tropical system. September isn't historically, blue skies and flat seas, but that is our grouper season this year. So I have I think it's the first 2. I think it's the 7th and the 14th. Already booked those 2 weekends. Weekdays are available, but that's like, hey, Luke, me and my son, we have to catch a keeper grouper. It has to be big. We want to take it home and
it doesn't.
Eat it.
Honestly, brother, man, you're going to laugh. I love sushi. I don't.
It's not important to you to take it home and eat it.
Well, no. Actually, when it comes to hunting, I think that's one of the more important things about it is and especially for my young son, because we used to do it with freshwater trout all the time. It's like you catch it, if you can keep it, you cut it, you clean it, you eat it. Like I think that's part of the whole culture for me specifically. I'm not a trophy fisherman.
Okay.
I'm not a fisherman at all, but I'm definitely not like a. I don't need the picture. I want the experience, and also too, I want the lesson there of not catching, if that's what the universe wants for us, but also too of eating what we caught.
Okay.
Right. So it doesn't have to be grouper. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what it is, and he definitely won't give a shit what it is. So yeah, you just honestly tell me I'll go whenever you want to go.
Okay.
Even if you're like, hey, come next week. It may not be all 6 of us because in a short time, but I can definitely yank him. I'll yank him right out of school and say, hey, bud, we're not going to school today. We're going to go fishing because this is whatever you're going to learn in 2nd grade. Don't worry. You're not going to miss it. Yeah, you're not going to miss it.
No, that was the other thing I wanted to mention is there are captains that do the specific trophy fishing thing.
Sure.
And it's a risk versus reward. It's like, hey, we have a really good shot at getting one of these big or desirable or trophy fish today. But the flip side is if we don't get it, we don't get it. We don't get anything.
This is what it is.
But what I have a lot with kids is they want to start fishing right away and they want to start catching right away.
Sure, because they're kids.
Exactly. So I have a lot of these procured rocks that are just around the island where I know we're going to anchor up, we're going to start putting bait in, we're going to start catching right away. And it's a mix of fish. It could be
Are they keepers though?
yeah, I mean, a lot of like today we lost count of how many fish we caught total.
Really?
And it was 2 hours of scallop and 2 hours of fishing. It's not always like that.
Sure.
But
It's a good day.
they had 4 nice keepers as well as all the fish they had to throw back.
And you as a service, I saw you'll fillet, you'll do the whole bit.
Yeah, I'll fillet them. Most of the time, the scallops take a little bit longer, so I'll
Sure.
do that as well, but I'm expensive too. So it's
Yeah,
like
right.
if you want to sit me there and do it the whole time. But I had ladies that booked last year and this year, and they kind of figured it out. Where like if they get the scallops really quickly, then they could sit there and shuck them and still be within their half day.
Sure.
So,
And a
then-
half day is 5 hours?
It's like 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
And then the boat ride. And then I had another client that I used to work with. They're in Missouri now. They book every year. They're in a hotel room. So like they can't cook the fish. They can't. So what I'll do is I have a little stainless grill I'll bring out. So I'll prep all like the Parmesan cheese and garlic and everything.
Nice. Dude, see,
Full
that's
fillet.
customer experience right there, dude.
Ceviche is another popular one, you know,
Nice.
because you don't really have to cook the ceviche. You just got the lime
yeah.
juice, and some
Right.
guacamole. So
So
I've had
good.
that with people where they're like, I don't want to catch anything. I don't want to kill anything. But if you make the ceviche, you know,
I
like,
might try some.
go
No,
scoop.
dude, like I kind of want I want you to be in your element, and I'm not bougie, so I don't need the
Okay.
ceviche per se. But I just think like, dude, I'd be honored, man, to go out with you
Let's
and
do
see
it.
you do it, see you do your
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You've watched me do my thing 100
Okay.
times.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it'd be cool to see you do your thing.
The other thing is like people have a different. So kids especially, it's like an hour and a half in. I'm done fishing. Like
Sure.
let's
Yeah,
do
they're
it,
fucking
Dad.
kids.
I'm
Right.
So we have private islands. Like we could go shell hunting. You know, there's all these cool restaurants on the water. You know, we could go grab something to eat. You know, tie up the boat. There's other things to do. It's not like you're booked for 5 hours of fishing and you're going to hold the fishing rod the whole time. Like
Sure.
it's your day. If you want to snorkel at the sandbar, let's snorkel. Like
Man,
let's do-
I love that, man.
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
love it. My whole thing is you're the captain. Like
Yeah.
whatever your plan is. No, understand you just said you said a lot of things that were ringing bells in my head that were good. I have kids. I have a wife. She's gonna need to pee. Blah blah blah. Right. So all the things. So, but like, I would just love to just go out and just be, just be be in the presence of Captain Luke. The other thing I had too, which is really really important to me, just the Italian side of me, is that what does Captain Luke need? Not need. It's the wrong word. What does Captain Luke desire day of? Like, what do you want on the boat to drink? What's your snack of choice? What can I know, man? Well, don't tell me you're simple, man.
Simple man.
Yeah. But no, like I would come to your boat. I'd be like, all right, here's all your. I brought you stuff. I brought you your pub, your Cuban pub sub. I brought you some stuff. Like, while not required, it's nice. What do captains want?
That's a good question. I mean,
I know you like tips.
Yeah.
Tips are totally accepted.
I'm pretty self-sufficient. I mean, I bring like a thermos because everyone stay hydrated. So I like those LMNTs, you know, like where you could rip them and throw them in the water.
yeah.
So I have like a thermos where I'll go through a bunch of that. Usually, like I said, I grab just Publix. I don't know. Sometimes people bring like cookies, and I'm like, oh, I love the cookies. Sometimes I don't want any cookies. So honestly, when I'm doing the underwater stuff,
Yeah.
I
You
get
don't wanna be.
I get heartburn.
Yeah, you don't wanna eat.
I learned that if
Yeah.
like we're going to dive spot or even like scalloping, and I start doing the duck dives where I'm going underwater, like I feel the food coming back up. So a lot of times, you know, people will bring beer or they'll bring snacks and stuff, and I'm just no, I'm okay. And then when
Because
we're
you're gonna go
riding
down
in,
there.
yeah, when we're riding in and you know
Yeah.
we're headed back for the marina, sure, let's have
Sure.
a beer.
What are you aiming for? What part of the fish are you actually trying to aim for here?
So
What's like the what's the word? What's the
the light switch.
well, no, I was thinking more of like the compassionate word. Yeah, the light switch. I was thinking like, what's the humane play? You're trying to shoot them between the eyes, or where are you going here?
Yeah, so most fish, or actually all fish, they don't really have a brain. They have a complex nervous system that starts at the base of the spinal cord, kind of like what we have, but ours turns into a brain. So if you go between their eyes and like where the spinal cord would start, that's kind of where the central nervous system is. So if you aim for that area, you could get like a complete lights out.
That's a
like
perfect shot.
That's a perfect shot. But also, the headshot too. If you're an inch high, you're missing it completely.
Yeah, you're
too.
just gonna skin them and piss them off, and they're gonna get away and maybe die later.
If you go to the market and you sell your fish too, that there's a certain quality, like they don't want what they call meat shots or like window shots. Like you don't want to put the spear right in the middle of the meat because it does bruise and it kind of bleeds around.
Yeah,
you know, you can cut it
Same
out,
thing with like deer hunting or any kind of hunting.
Exactly. So I would say I aim for like behind the eye, maybe a little bit low, like in that gill plate area.
Yeah.
You know, you can see
What kind of fish is this one?
That's a kingfisher, king mackerel.
Okay.
And also, if you hit anywhere on the spinal cord and just sever the spine, they call it stoning the fish. Like it just rolls over, it kind of spins. That's like the put a ribbon on it, like the bow. It's like a
Kill
gift.
shot.
Yeah, it's a gift if you get that.
It still cracks me up, dude. Look at you, bro.
Little Luke.
You were born to do this.
In a way, I actually have to thank my parents there. I think it was my dad and my mom combination of that time in my life that my dad had the means to buy a boat, and my mom was saying, you know, hey, you know, this is kind of the lifestyle I lived growing up. And my grandpa had a seafood restaurant, and he sold seafood, and he participated
Here locally, here in Florida?
Here in Florida, yeah.
Yeah, because you're native, yeah?
So on my mom's side. On my dad's side, I'm a first generation. He's from Germany, so
sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Do you speak German, Sir Truly?
Not too
dabble.
much. A dabble.
You
I could,
dabble.
you know, das is good.
Yeah.
Wie geht's?
Yeah, das Boot. All right, so here, what are you shooting here?
That might be that wasn't think another mackerel or rainbow runner. That's a big grouper. That's another kingfish or another mackerel. That's a hogfish.
Yeah.
Amberjack there on a shipwreck. Amberjack. That was a stone shot. So they just
this is all Key West, yeah?
No, this is right out here in This is within 10, 20 miles of Tarpon Springs.
Get the fuck.
Yeah.
And
we have some. That's a kingfish. That's a hogfish. We have really good. I mean, I've taken people from Miami and Jacksonville and and they said, "Man, you've got a really good fishery here." You know, it's not overrated. It's really probably underrated in that spec. But
we don't want too many people coming here, so it's okay.
It's all right. But honestly, like I get that sometimes, like Luke, you're giving away all the secrets. And honestly, if people talk about it, if people get interested, like if this comes up in your conversation, I've done my job. You know, I've brought some awareness to whatever it is that. You know, sure, I mean, if you watch the videos, you'll find out all the secrets. Sure, I get that part of it too. But
but there's don't gatekeep, dude. There's 1,000. Yeah. Well, hold on, let me back that up. I understand the preservation of it, right? We want to preserve the waters, but the gatekeeping of it, because I think, again, part of your mission too, and I believe this about you, while many people might tote it, is that you actually give a shit about our waters. You're from here. You know these waters. You want future generations to enjoy these waters and experience these waters the way that you did. I think your vibe is different. Your vibe isn't like, hey, come here, we're crushing. Your vibe is like, yo, these waters are beautiful. They can be plentiful, and we need to respect that and enjoy it too. Yeah. You're like the meat eater of what's that guy's name from the show Meat Eater? Steve Ronaldo. Yeah, I like that show. Yeah, it's
a big ocean. I mean, I tell this to people all the time. Like when you're walking through the forest, or like you don't realize how vast the forest is until you're trapped in the middle of it. And like when you look at our ocean, at least even out here, it's when you get 10 miles, you don't see land. It's just, it humbles you. You know, you're out there in the middle, and you got to realize underneath you is this forest. There's this ecosystem that exists. So knowing that in the few numbers that I have and that I fish, if the ecosystem looks like that, like extrapolate that and scale that up. And this is happening all through the Gulf of Mexico and through all these different zones. So it just humbles you to be out there and do it, I think. And it's I don't know, it's amazing. I mean, look at the videos. And I think if people don't get to experience, this is the next best thing. It's like, hey, this came off of the GoPro. Like this is
no, it's good shit. The
feedback.
It's good stuff. Listen, it's doing its job, because when I saw it, I was like, fuck, man, I want to do all this.
I couldn't figure out who my charter was today. And like halfway through, the guy goes, you know how we got hooked up with you? And I said, no. He said, there's a financial advisor here in town, and his name is Trevor. And I go, oh, Trevor Schultz. He goes, oh, yeah, Trevor Schultz. He gave me your number. He said you're a cool. So it's like you never know who you touched or who you made an impact for. And somebody asked the question at the right time and you just happen to have availability. Like, you can't predict that. You can't pay Google to like do that thing, that certain thing for you.
No.
And at the flip side, somebody could be in town, everything lines up, and the morning of there's a thundercloud over the marina and nobody's leaving that day too. So it's like, that goes back to what we were talking about, things you can control, things you can't control. Like, look, I put gas in the boat. I have it ready. You know, I can do those things.
Cuban.
I got the Cuban.
I got my electrolytes and my
dirty chips.
Dude, I got you, by the way. The day we book,
all right,
you're gonna have 2 sandwiches if you buy one. So don't buy one. I'm gonna break it rain on you, man. Make it rain. I like your logo too, man. It's good stuff.
Thanks. It's a hogfish. It's hard to make a hogfish look mean.
Yeah.
I've
told that to fangs on it. I've
told that to clients before. They're like, we want to do a hogfish, but every time I see a design, they look goofy. And headhunter spearfishing on the East Coast, they have a similar hogfish. That's kind of like a 2-color high contrast like that. But
yeah, well, you don't know them. Who cares?
Oh, they're cool.
But I mean, they're cool. We like them.
But honestly, like, I started that because I was a number of white pickup trucks that were at the marina, and that's usually the first time I meet someone. So what I did is I made a license plate and I made one sticker for the back of the, a window sticker, and everyone, oh, there's Captain Luke, so that's how it kind of started, and then the stickers on the boat and everywhere they ended up. So
that's why merch is good, man. Merch can be good. I don't like the overabundance of merch that exists right now. You can overdo it for sure.
It's hard. I tell this to clients all the time. It's hard to be a merch, you're doing what you do in making money that don't like try to add merch to like the hats that you're wearing, because there's a million different sizes. There's small, medium, large, XL, 2X.
Yeah, fulfillment alone is a pain in the ass. Even if you have a Shopify storefront and
even if you're drop shipping, it doesn't matter.
It's a pain in the dude. It's a whole complicated extra layer. Do it, but know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I always tell people one color. Like pick one design, one color, and 4 sizes. Like those are your options, or the sizes.
Yeah.
Like don't
and
go
see
too
how that
crazy.
goes.
Yeah.
And if you're crushing ass on that, then let's expand.
Then add to it,
let's expand.
The other thing is women's clothing. So I do this a lot for spearfishing and other fishing tournaments. Is that they get like 80% men's clothing in merchandise and only like 20% women's, and then the 20% women sells out the first day. It's because they're the ones doing the shopping,
right?
And they want the cute tank tops. Oh, you got the tank top that looks like I'm buying it. Like they don't even think twice.
Pro
about
tip
it.
from Captain Luke. You hear that? Make it for women.
For the ladies, yeah.
Don't forget about them ladies.
Yeah.
Women be shopping.
And Jessica taught me that a lot of men's shirts could be cropped too here, and they could be turned into lady shirts. So that's the other thing too. If you have one size, you could take a larger XL shirts, crop them, and now all of a sudden you have a lady shirt too. So there's
Captain Luke, man, just dropping bombs. Dude, you've been so gracious with your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
No, man, I'm excited. I literally mean it. Find a time that you think is going to be good. Not a day. Just be like, hey, dude, October's looking rad.
It's always good. This is the busiest time of year, but also it's the hottest time of year. And like, I don't want to be like tomorrow. I'm doing a boat broker sea trial. Like, I don't want to be working in the sun. Like, I want to be out on the water. I want to be fishing. I don't like doing physical labor this time of year. And
dude, I mowed my lawn today, and I did it like 9:30.
It was 90 degrees at 9:30.
It was brutal, bro.
Yeah,
it was so crazy. And we're having a new fence put in, so like I had some wood that was delivered from the company that's going to do it, and so I was like moving like these 8-foot 4x, and dude, like 20 of them, and because they arrived on a pallet. And I was just like, put some gloves on. And at first I was doing one at a time, dude. And finally I was like, fuck it. I just stacked it. And I was like, 2 at a time, man. Just because I got to get this. I got to get this done.
So we'll pick a time like, I don't know if even August. It might still be kind of hot.
Yeah, well, actually August is fucked for me. We're going to Canada. So I think like September, October.
Okay.
Yeah.
And probably what we'll do is we'll pick like, these 3 days, I have open or my wife's not working or something. And then as it gets close, maybe when we're 3 or 4 days out, say, hey, this window looks good. Maybe the Wednesday is going to be better than the Friday. Let's shoot for Wednesday.
Totally flexible.
That's always the best way to do it. Is like,
I said, I'll yank them out of school. And if it's tough with my wife. I know she'll want to go because, she works, like I said, she works in healthcare. So we got to kind of plan for it. Not kind of. We got to plan for it. Worst case scenario, she can't go. But
Okay,
It'll just be me and the
those
kids, and that'll be
people
rad.
we put. So sometimes they say I only have Sundays and Mondays off. So we'll pick the first Monday, and if
Yeah.
that doesn't work, we'll push it out.
Push
a week.
it
We'll
up.
push it out.
I love
another
it.
week
Dude,
until we
you're
get time.
man.
I'm flexible. Once you let go of that corporate life, like it lets you breathe into these other areas. Like
Sure.
even in the podcast, I would have been like, "No, Justin, I have to work tomorrow at 9. I don't want to do it." But
Right.
like I'm open to more things and like opportunities
Right.
because of
Well,
freedoms.
it's funny you said that about the podcast. I've had a lot of people say like, "Oh, I can't do it so late." The only reason I'm doing it so late, summertime, my kids aren't in school.
Yeah.
Once they're in school during the day, then like I can
Open it
do
up.
daytime
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Which will open up for like so the working folk.
Well, I've noticed with creative people that a lot of them don't get creative in the morning or even in the afternoon. Like
No,
sometimes
man.
like 5, 6 o'clock dinner roll. You're like, "Oh, I got that idea. I know what I'm gonna go work on."
Yeah,
right
dude, the
now."
nighttime's the right time, right?
Yeah,
Like sometimes. Yeah.
sometimes.
But
And
anyways,
then some people wake up and they're
Yeah.
freaking animals at 6 a.m.
yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah, I don't do
I'm
that.
not
Like the
one of
people that get up at 5 a to work out, God bless them. Not me.
Not me.
Not
either.
me. Again, that's CaptainLuke.com. Luke, you've been so great. Thank you so much.
Thanks
And
for having me.
I'm so looking forward to it.
Let's do it. We'll have to do a follow up.
Yeah. Oh, we will. Right on.